Welcome to the Sleep Hours, the only place where cartoons fall asleep before you do. So grab your blanket, tuck in your favorite plushie, and let's get weird. Tonight's story is about a very special Pokémon we all know and love, Pikachu. After a long day of adventures, Pikachu drifts into a world of dreams filled with glowing meadows, sparkling rivers, and starlit skies. Along the way, he finds comfort, peace, and the kind of warmth that only true friendship can bring. So get cozy, close your eyes, and let's join Pikachu on his most peaceful night yet. The night had arrived gently over the forest, folding the trees and hills into a soft blanket of shadows. Rain tapped lightly against the canvas of the tent, steady and soothing, as though the world itself was breathing in a slow, calm rhythm. Each droplet rolled down leaves and branches, gathering into quiet streams that threaded their way through the grass. Inside the tent, the faint glow of a lantern pulsed like the last ember of a campfire. It painted the air with a warm, golden haze that made the damp, cool night feel far away. Ash and Misty were already fast asleep, their breaths soft and steady, while Brock's quiet snores rumbled like a distant drum. The whole campsite had fallen into stillness, wrapped up in the lull of the rain. But not Pikachu. Curled near the edge of Ash's sleeping bag, Pikachu's ears twitched at the rhythm of the droplets. His fur shimmered faintly in the lantern's light. Each tiny spark in his cheeks dimmed and quiet, as if his electricity too was drifting toward slumber. Still, his eyes were open, wide and thoughtful. He listened. He watched. He felt. For Pikachu, nights like this were something special. During the day, there was always movement, always the rush of travel, the noise of battles, the laughter of friends. But here, in the softness of night, the world seemed slower. He could hear the low croak of Poliwag from a pond not far away. He could hear the steady drip of water sliding down from a tall branch and landing in the soil with a muffled thud. The forest was alive, but not busy, only whispering to those who stayed awake long enough to listen. The tent smelled of damp jackets and wool, a little musty, but oddly comforting. Ash's backpack, still open at the corner, carried the scent of crushed berries from earlier that day, their sweetness faint under the stronger smell of rain-soaked earth. Pikachu took it all in, nose twitching as he shifted to rest his chin on his paws. Somewhere outside, the fire they had built before the storm had long gone out, leaving only the occasional hiss of rainwater against the last stubborn coals. The smoke had faded, but the memory of its warmth still lingered faintly in Pikachu's mind, blending with the steady glow of the lantern beside him. His sensors, not the cold, mechanical kind, but the subtle instincts he always carried, picked up on the world's mood. The air was heavy with moisture, the clouds above thick and low. The forest was dimmer than usual, not from nightfall alone, but from the deep quilt of gray pressed over the stars. Yet even in that dimness there was peace. The rain dulled sharp sounds, softened edges, and wrapped the night in its quiet rhythm. Pikachu stretched once, a long, lazy stretch that made his small body arch and his tail curl. He yawned, ears flicking, then settled back down. His eyes lingered on Ash's sleeping form. The boy's hair was messy, a little damp at the edges, but his face was relaxed, softened into a calm Pikachu didn't often see during the bustle of the day. It made Pikachu feel safe, as though the rain and the night were guarding them, and nothing else needed to be worried about. Then, just as his eyelids began to grow heavy, a voice broke the stillness. Not spoken aloud, but the calm, measured tone of Brock earlier that evening came back to him in memory. Looks like tomorrow might stay rainy, too. We'll probably be indoors if the storm holds. The thought of it had lingered with Pikachu. Indoor recess, as Misty had called it. A day without rushing through forests, without sudden battles or endless walking. Just calm. a slower rhythm, much like this night. As Pikachu blinked sleepily at the lantern glow, he realized something. The storm had changed not only the air, but the way the people and Pokémon around him moved, breathed, and even dreamed. The children's laughter had been quieter when they came into the tent, their voices softer, their footsteps slower. It was as if the rain had draped its calmness over everyone, nudging them to rest. And Pikachu, always watchful, had noticed. Pikachu shifted closer to the tent's flap, where a tiny gap let in the cool night air. He pressed his nose toward it, whiskers twitching as raindrops spattered just inches away. The world outside shimmered in muted silver, every branch glistening, every stone shining with a fresh coat of water. The sound of the rain was louder here, not muffled by canvas or sleeping breaths, but crisp and clean. A steady cascade that reminded him of a lullaby without words. The forest itself seemed to hum. Raindrops struck broad leaves, sending shivers down to the smaller plants below. Small puddles rippled, each ring spreading until it touched another and another, creating circles that never ended. A low breeze carried the earthy smell of soaked moss and pine needles, cool and refreshing, filling Pikachu's lungs as he inhaled deeply. Somewhere in the distance, a hoot-hoot called, its voice soft and even, blending with the rhythm of the storm. Pikachu's ears twitched at the sound, but not with alarm, only acknowledgement, the way one greets a neighbor in passing. Behind him, Ash stirred in his sleep, mumbling something unintelligible before turning over. The soft rustle of the sleeping bag made Pikachu's heart warm. He always liked being close, always liked knowing Ash was safe. There was a bond there, something deeper than trainer and Pokémon, something that even the rain seemed to respect. The lantern light flickered, dimming a little before steadying again. Shadows swayed across the tent walls, shifting like gentle waves. For a moment, Pikachu imagined the shapes weren't just shadows at all, but figures: the tall outline of a tree swaying, the rounded shape of a bush bending low, all dancing along with the rain song. His imagination, fueled by the quiet, played tricks that felt less like tricks and more like stories told by the storm itself. He closed his eyes halfway, ears still tuned to the night. The rain had a way of slowing time. Each droplet seemed to carry a pause, a gentle delay that made the world breathe differently. The usual chirps, rustles, and flutters of the forest had quieted. Most Pokémon were resting, tucking themselves away in burrows, nests, and hollows. But here and there, Pikachu could feel life stirring in the damp Caterpie, inching along a wet branch, Oddish lifting leaves to drink from the puddles, and maybe even Poliwag still paddling in the pond. It reminded him that the forest never truly slept. It only changed its rhythm. He sighed, a tiny sound almost lost beneath the storm. His eyes drifted again to Ash, then to Misty, curled near the corner with Togepi nestled against her. Togepi shifted in its sleep, letting out the faintest squeak before burrowing deeper into Misty's arms. Pikachu's cheeks tingled softly with warmth, not sparks, but something gentler aglow that came from comfort. Perhaps, he thought, rain wasn't just weather. Perhaps it was a reminder that things could slow down, that not every moment had to be rushed or battled through. Sometimes, even in the Pokémon world, there was beauty in stillness. And with that thought, Pikachu lay back down, pressing his cheek against the soft fabric of Ash's sleeping bag. The storm continued its gentle concert, a steady backdrop to dreams forming all around him. His tail flicked once, lazily, before settling again. The world outside remained vast and alive, but for Pikachu the night had narrowed to this: the patter of rain, the warmth of friends, and the steady beat of a heart that kept him safe. His eyes fluttered closed for the first time that night. Not fully asleep, not yet, but drifting, caught between wakefulness and dream, between the forest's whispers and the lantern's glow. And in that drifting state, he realized something simple. This rainy night was not just another stop on their journey. It was its own story, unfolding quietly, meant to be felt rather than told. The steady hum of the rain seemed to wrap around Pikachu like a soft blanket. Each drop that tapped against the tent's canvas was a tiny rhythm he could feel as much as hear. The world outside had slowed to a heartbeat, and inside the tent every breath, every shuffle of fabric, every tiny whisper of the forest carried weight. Pikachu's ears twitched again as a far-off branch tapped lightly against the tent flap. A gentle wind carried the scent of wet leaves, slightly sweet, slightly earthy, the aroma of life itself after a long afternoon of storm. He pressed his nose into the sleeping bag again, savoring it, and a sense of calm spread through him that had little to do with tiredness and everything to do with being truly present in the moment. Somewhere beyond the trees, the night had its own melody, a wurmple shifted under leaf rustling faintly. Frogs croaked from a distant pond, and the occasional splash marked a pollywag's playful motion. Pikachu could feel the energy of life continuing quietly, gently, not intrusive, but entirely alive. It made the world feel intimate, as though he were part of something vast, yet safe. He thought of the day, the river crossing, the little berries Ash had picked, the laughter that had bounced through the forest. Each memory was like a soft glow inside his mind, gentle sparks that warmed him without startling. He remembered how he had helped Ash, leaping across stones, dodging small puddles, and encouraging friends along the way. Those moments felt lighter in the night, as if they were floating with the rhythm of the rain rather than weighed down by the rush of daylight. Togepi murmured softly beside Misty, and Pikachu's tail twitched in response. The little Pokemon's tiny noises blended seamlessly with the symphony of the storm, a rhythm of comfort and quiet life. Pikachu stretched again, rolling onto his side to get closer to the warmth of Ash's sleeping bag. There was something about proximity that made everything feel safer, like the heartbeat of a friend echoing in the stillness. Outside, the rain continued, but the drops grew finer, almost a mist now, sliding off leaves and pooling into tiny mirrors on the forest floor. Each reflection caught the lantern's glow, sending tiny flickers of gold dancing across the damp grass. Pikachu's eyes followed them for a moment, mesmerized, before closing halfway again. The world seemed endless, yet contained entirely within this quiet tent. A soft crackle of lightning in the far distance brought a brief flicker of light through the canvas, but it startled him not at all. Instead, it became part of the night's texture, a gentle punctuation in the ongoing lullaby of rain. Pikachu listened, aware of the gentle rise and fall of everyone's breathing around him, feeling the deep, satisfying rhythm of the night settling over all of them. He imagined, for a fleeting second, the forest as a living, breathing companion. Trees swayed, leaves whispered secrets, and even the tiny puddles seemed to pulse with a quiet life. The world outside was not separate. It was an extension of this calm, and he was nestled safely within it. The thought made him smile softly, a tiny twitch at the corner of his mouth, a warmth spreading through his cheeks. There was no rush, no battle to fight, no urgent call for action. Only this, the rain, the warmth, the soft companionship of friends, and the gentle rhythm of life. Pikachu shifted it once more, curling his small body more tightly, ears low, tail wrapping gently around himself. The glow from the lantern touched him like sunlight in the forest, soft and golden, highlighting the damp sheen of his fur from the day's adventures. It was a small, perfect moment. Nothing flashy, nothing loud, only the quiet magic of being alive in a peaceful night. As the minutes passed, the night deepened, folding over the campsite like a soft velvet curtain. Pikachu's eyes fluttered, half-lidded, tracing the tiny movements of shadows cast by the lantern's golden glow. The canvas walls swayed faintly with the wind, creating patterns that seemed almost alive waves rolling gently across the surface, carrying the world's quiet whispers with them. Every sound felt deliberate in this calm. A leaf shook under the weight of a droplet and plopped into a shallow puddle, sending concentric ripples outward. Pikachu's ears perked just slightly, listening to the subtle rhythm, almost as though each tiny splash had its own heartbeat. There was no rush, no urgency, just the soft, infinite cadence of nature in its simplest form. Inside the tent, life was warm and steady. Ash breathed evenly, misty strands of hair brushing his cheek as he turned slightly in his sleep. Misty's arm wrapped gently around Togepi, who made a faint squeak and burrowed closer. Brock's steady snores were like distant drums echoing through the forest, grounding, familiar, comforting. Pikachu felt a deep sense of belonging. He was not alone, and yet the night gave him space to be entirely himself, to notice the subtle beauty around him without distraction. The lantern flickered again, sending a brief dance of shadows across the floor of the tent. Pikachu watched, mesmerized, each movement stretching like liquid gold. For a moment he imagined shapes in the shadows, a tree bending just outside, a tiny Pokémon peeking through the brush, the soft curve of a hill silhouetted against the fading light. The images were playful, whimsical, yet soothing, as if the night itself were spinning gentle tales to lull its creatures into rest. Pikachu stretched his small paws, the motion slow and deliberate. The muscles he had used all day, leaping across streams, climbing hills, darting through tall grass, relaxed in the quiet. He sighed softly, a tiny puff that mingled with the cool air drifting through the tent flap. With every exhale, he felt more grounded, more present, as though the rain were washing away the weight of daytime adventure, leaving only clarity and calm. Outside, the forest continued its soft symphony. A far-off pollywag splashed gently in the pond while a caterpie shuffled along a wet branch, leaving tiny, perfect imprints on the leaves. The raindrops seemed to sing, each one a note, in a long, delicate lullaby that stretched across the hills, through the trees, and into the small, cozy tent where Pikachu rested. He shifted again, ears twitching, tail curling lightly around his body. Memories of the day floated in his mind, tinged with a warm glow. Helping Ash pick berries, dodging small puddles during the hike, exchanging glances with Bulbasaur and Squirtle in moments of unspoken camaraderie. Each recollection carried a sense of achievement, a gentle satisfaction that didn't excite but comforted, a perfect companion to the rain's soft song. Pikachu's eyes drooped further. The lantern's glow seemed to soften, painting the world in warmer, dreamlike shades. Shadows no longer danced so sharply. They melted into one another like watercolors on a canvas, and the sound of the rain became a gentle, steady pulse in the background. It was as if the night itself were holding him, guiding him closer to rest. He imagined the forest breathing around him. Trees inhaled and exhaled with the wind. Leaves tilted and shifted under the weight of tiny droplets. The pond reflected each shimmer of light, as though the stars had come down to watch over the night. Pikachu felt part of it all, not dominant, not separate, just a small, warm presence in a vast, tender world. Slowly, sleep began to pull at him. His limbs grew heavier, his breathing matched the rhythm of the rain, and his small eyes closed almost completely. The last thoughts that lingered were soft, simple, pure. The warmth of friends, the gentle song of rain, the infinite calm of a world at peace. And as the storm hummed its lullaby outside, Pikachu drifted further toward dreams, carried gently by the night. The night stretched on, soft and steady, folding every sound and movement into a quiet harmony. Pikachu's small body curled further, tail tucked neatly alongside him, ears relaxed but still subtly alert. Even as his eyes drifted toward full sleep, he remained attuned to the gentle orchestra of the forest around him. Each rustle, each drop, each distant murmur of a Pokémon felt like a brushstroke in a painting of calm. The tent, warm and safe, seemed almost to breathe alongside him. The soft sway of the canvas and the occasional gust of wind was like a gentle rocking, coaxing him further into rest. Pikachu's fur, slightly damp from the day's adventures, now carried the faintest warmth from his own body and from the close presence of Ash, Misty, and Togepi nearby. It was a cocoon of comfort, a small sanctuary of quiet in the expansive, rain-kissed forest. Outside, the rain had softened into a fine mist, a delicate veil that blurred the shapes of trees and rocks. The sounds of the storm became subtler, the pitter-patter now a soft pattering, almost musical in its rhythm. Each droplet seemed to carry its own tiny echo, bouncing gently off leaves and puddles, creating a multi-layered hum that resonated with the night. Pikachu's ears twitched faintly at the nuances, drinking in every note, as though it were part of an unspoken story meant just for him. He recalled moments from earlier in the day with a warm, sleepy fondness. The way he had helped Ash dodge a puddle on their hike, the soft laughter of his friends echoing through the trees, the careful gathering of berries that had later filled their baskets. All these little adventures became threads in the soft tapestry of his memory. In the hush of night, these recollections felt lighter, gentle sparks that illuminated his mind without disturbing the tranquility of the moment. A faint rustle came from the corner of the tent. Pikachu's eyes opened slightly, ears perking in curiosity. It was just Togepi shifting in its sleep, murmuring softly before curling closer to Misty. The simple, quiet life of his friends, human and Pokémon alike, filled him with a sense of peace deeper than any action-packed day could bring. Even Snorlax's distant snores, usually loud and imposing, now seemed like a rhythm to lean against, a steady reminder that everyone was here, safe and at rest. Pikachu let his gaze drift to the lantern again. Its golden glow flickered softly, casting long, warm shadows across the tent floor. Each movement of light was hypnotic, painting fleeting patterns that seemed alive. For a moment, he imagined the shadows outside tall trees, thick underbrush, a tiny path leading somewhere unknown, all moving with gentle intention, like silent guardians of the night. His mind wandered briefly to the larger world beyond the campsite. Rivers flowed quietly. Forests breathed in the rain. Mountains held the clouds like protective hands. It was vast, infinite even. But the tent, the rain, the warmth of friends made him feel contained, safe within a bubble of calm. Sleep tugged at him more insistently now, and he welcomed it, letting the quiet of the night envelop him completely. The rain's rhythm seemed to sync with his heartbeat, slow and steady, matching the rise and fall of his chest. Pikachu stretched once more, tiny paws flexing, and then curled inward, a soft sigh escaping him. The night was no longer merely outside, it had become part of him. Each droplet, each whisper of wind, each rustle of leaves merged into a gentle lullaby, singing him closer to dreams. For a long moment, he simply listened, letting the warmth, the calm, and the soft golden glow of the lantern wash over him. Outside, the mist clung to the leaves, silvering the forest with quiet light, while inside, Pikachu's thoughts slowed, coiling softly like smoke, dissolving into nothingness. And then slowly, softly, fully, his small eyes closed. The world was peaceful. The rain was gentle. And Pikachu, the faithful companion of countless adventures, allowed himself to be held entirely by the night. The night deepened further, wrapping the world in a quiet, protective shroud. Pikachu lay curled near Ash's sleeping bag, small breaths rising and falling in harmony with the rhythm of the rain. Outside, the mist clung to leaves and rocks, shimmering faintly under the pale glow of distant lightning, though the flashes were soft, gentle, never startling. The storm had become a companion rather than a disturbance, a lullaby composed entirely of dripping water and whispering winds. Pikachu's ears twitched slightly, still attuned to every nuance around him, though his eyes were fully closed now. The soft sounds of his friends' breathing, the quiet shifts of their limbs in sleep, and the gentle rustle of the tent walls in the breeze created a cocoon of warmth and safety. He imagined the tent itself as a guardian, the soft canvas walls like arms holding him close. Even the air seemed alive, the scent of wet earth, the faint sweetness of crushed berries, and the cool aroma of rain on leaves combined into a perfume unique to the forest night. Pikachu inhaled it deeply in thoughtless bliss, feeling each molecule as though it carried the memory of the day and the promise of peaceful dreams. A soft hoot drifted in from the forest, Hoot-Hoot perched on a nearby branch, singing in a rhythm that blended perfectly with the patter of rain. It was a voice of reassurance, a gentle signal that the night was safe, that the world continued its quiet life while he rested. Pikachu's tail twitched softly in response, an almost subconscious acknowledgement, before curling tighter around his body. The glow of the lantern flickered once, then held steady, casting elongated shadows that moved like gentle waves across the floor of the tent. Pikachu's mind, still hovering between wakefulness and sleep, imagined shapes dancing outside tree branches bending, leaves quivering, puddles reflecting tiny sparks of light. Each imagined movement was soothing, a slow dance orchestrated by the storm itself. He thought briefly of the adventures yet to come. Days filled with running through fields, leaping over streams, and exploring new forests and towns awaited him. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight was for this moment the stillness, the warmth, the quiet beauty of a rainy forest night. The rain reminded him that not all experiences needed energy or urgency. Some moments were meant to be savored, felt, absorbed into memory without interruption. Pikachu's small paws flexed one last time, then settled, and a faint, contented sigh escaped him. The storm's rhythm had become part of his own heartbeat. The faint glow of the lantern mirrored the soft spark in his cheeks, a gentle reminder of life, warmth, and presence. Outside, the forest exhaled slowly, letting the rain drip in gentle arcs covering every leaf, branch, and blade of grass with a touch of serenity. Even in dreams, Pikachu could feel it, the forest's quiet breath, the companionship of his friends, the safety of his small, protected world. The night no longer seemed vast or intimidating. It had become intimate, a place where even a small Pokémon like him could feel immense comfort. Finally, fully surrendered to sleep, Pikachu's body relaxed completely. His ears drooped softly, tail wrapped snugly around him, and the warmth of friendship, adventure, and gentle night enveloped him entirely. The rain's lullaby continued without pause, a steady, comforting hum that promised safety and rest until morning. And in that perfect stillness, with the soft glow of the lantern flickering above and the forest's whispers drifting through the night, Pikachu slept. His small chest rose and fell in quiet rhythm, and the world, at least for this moment, was entirely peaceful. The night carried on, serene and tender, and the first segment of his peaceful story concluded, leaving only the soft promise of dreams waiting just beyond the veil of sleep. The rain outside had softened further, now a gentle mist that clung to every leaf and blade of grass, making the forest shimmer like a world touched by quiet magic. Inside the tent, the lantern glowed softly, painting the small space in warm, golden hues that made the shadows dance lazily across the canvas walls. Pikachu stirred slightly in his sleep, small whiskers twitching as the soft sounds of the night wrapped around him. Even in slumber, memories of the day drifted through his mind like tiny glowing sparks floating in the calm darkness. He saw the sun high over the forest, bright and cheerful, casting long shadows as he and Ash had wandered through the tall grasses. The gentle hum of the wind, the rustle of leaves, and the distant calls of wild Pokémon had accompanied them then, much like the rain now did in the night, though now muted and softened by the quiet hush of sleep. He remembered the river, where the water had rushed over smooth stones, sparkling like liquid crystal in the sun. Pikachu had leapt from stone to stone, careful to keep his balance, feeling the cool spray on his fur. Ash had watched with a wide grin, encouraging him with gentle words and laughter that made Pikachu's ears perk up in delight. He could almost hear that laughter now, echoing softly in his dreams, warm and comforting. Bulbasaur had been nearby, moving steadily through the wet grass, the tip of his bulb glistening with drops of water. Pikachu recalled the quiet camaraderie that had passed between them, the small nods and sparks of encouragement that needed no words. Even Squirtle had joined in at times, darting and spinning in puddles, sending little splashes into the air that caught the sunlight in playful rainbows. The memory made Pikachu's cheeks tingle faintly with warmth, a gentle glow that reminded him of all the simple joys of the day. The berry patch came next in his drifting thoughts. Ash had carefully selected each berry, showing Pikachu which were ripe and safe to eat. Togepi had watched with wide, curious eyes, occasionally reaching out a tiny hand before retreating in shyness. Pikachu had guided the little Pokémon gently, nudging it toward the brighter, juicier berries, making sure each one was safe. He remembered the soft, sweet smell of berries mixed with the earthy aroma of rain-soaked soil, a combination that lingered in his memory like a delicate perfume. A faint breeze whispered through the slightly open tent flap, carrying with it the scent of the wet forest outside. Pikachu twitched his ears, sensing the continuity between now and then, between the vibrant day and the gentle, rain-soaked night. Even in dreams he could feel the forest breathing, the water flowing, the wind rustling in the trees. Each memory seemed to be part of the night's lullaby, each one another note in the song that wrapped him in calm. He remembered the small adventures in the underbrush, the playful chase of a Pidgey that swooped low, the cautious approach to a shiny shell of a Shelder glinting near the stream, and the brief unspoken competitions with his friends over who could spot the next hidden Pokémon first. The day had been full of movement and laughter, but now each recollection was muted, soft-edged, and tender as if the rain itself had painted over the colors of the afternoon, leaving them glowing gently in the night's soft light. Even the minor mishaps, slipping on a wet stone, a berry squishing underfoot, a sudden splash from Squirtle's playful antics, were remembered fondly. They were not disruptions, but part of the rhythm of the day, tiny sparks that added texture to the memories, turning each moment into a stitch in a cozy quilt of shared experience. And through it all, Pikachu had felt the quiet pride of being helpful, of being part of something larger than himself. He had guided, cheered, and encouraged, feeling the bonds between him and his friends deepen in the most subtle, unspoken ways. Each action from the day now floated through his mind like lanterns on a river, soft lights guiding him gently toward dreams. The night outside was calm, the rain now only a gentle drizzle against the tent, almost a whisper, almost a secret. Inside, the warmth of the lantern spread across the floor, touching every corner with golden light. Pikachu's small body shifted slightly in sleep, ears flicking as the soft sounds of the forest wove themselves into his dreams. Each droplet of rain seemed to carry a memory, each gust of wind a gentle reminder of the day that had passed. He saw Ash crouching by the river, hands submerged in the cool water as he guided a small, struggling Magikarp back to safety. Pikachu had assisted, nimbly leaping from rock to rock, using small sparks not to startle but to illuminate the shallow water. The scene had been tense, yet calm, a dance of care and attention. Now, in the quiet of the night, it replayed like a tender memory, soft and warm, the tension replaced by the gentle comfort of recollection. The berry patch glowed in his mind, every fruit illuminated by the sun's rays that had peeked through clouds earlier that day. Pikachu could feel the soft press of each berry under his tiny paws, smell the sweet fragrance of ripe fruit, and remember the laughter shared with Ash and friends as they gathered the bounty. Togepi's giggles, Misty's gentle encouragement, even Brock's quiet chuckle, all mixed into a soft melody that resonated in Pikachu's sleepy heart. He recalled the playful chase through the forest, leaping over roots, dodging under branches, feeling the squish of wet earth beneath his paws. Squirtle had splashed ahead, sending droplets that glimmered in the sunlight. Bulbasaur had followed steadily, determined and careful. Each Pokémon had moved with its own rhythm, yet together they had formed a quiet harmony of motion, a symphony of friendship expressed without words. Even the quiet moments between action held meaning. Pikachu remembered standing beside Ash on a hilltop, watching the wind ripple through the treetops, the sun low on the horizon. A Poliwag leapt into a distant pond, sending ripples that caught the fading light. He had felt the world pause for just a moment, a serene breath taken by the forest itself. Now, with the rain outside soft and silver, that moment returned to him, undisturbed, a gentle reminder of peace amidst adventure. The scent of wet grass and damp earth drifted faintly into the tent from the open flap. Pikachu's nose twitched as he breathed it in, remembering how the aroma had mingled with the tang of berries and the faint salt of the nearby river. Memories of tastes mingled with memories of touch. The cool splash of water, the soft rustle of leaves, the warmth of sunlight fading over his fur. Each sensation had been vivid during the day, but now they flowed together in a gentle stream, soothing and tender. Even the minor mishaps had their charm. A slip on a muddy stone, a berry squished underfoot, a sudden splash from Squirtle's playful antics, all were remembered with fondness rather than frustration. They had been small sparks of unpredictability, reminders that life was alive, fluid, and delightfully imperfect. In the quiet of the night, those memories became soft edges in the tapestry of the day, colors blending seamlessly into one another, creating a calm, comforting picture. Pikachu's tail twitched slightly as he dreamed of guiding Togepi through a small patch of wildflowers. The little Pokémon had hesitated, unsure, but Pikachu had nudged gently, encouraging with soft sparks of light that felt like whispers of reassurance. Togepi had smiled shyly yet sincerely, and together they had navigated the patch, each step a small victory, each movement a tiny celebration of trust and companionship. Through it all, Pikachu's heart glowed softly, a quiet warmth that had nothing to do with his electric sparks. It was the warmth of being part of a family, of sharing adventure, of protecting and being protected in turn. The rain outside became the background to this inner melody, a gentle percussion that carried every note with perfect care. The forest seemed to echo his calm, the distant calls of night, Pokémon soft, rhythmic, almost like a chorus harmonizing with the memories flowing through him. Pikachu's eyes twitched beneath their lids, his ears flicked at every whisper of sound, and the warmth in his cheeks deepened. The quiet satisfaction of a day well lived settling into every fiber of his small body. As the night deepened, the gentle mist outside blurred the forest into soft silver shapes. Pikachu's mind floated along with the memory of the day, each recollection a warm ripple in the stillness of the night. The rustling leaves, the distant splash of water, and the subtle whisper of wind all became part of the tapestry, blending seamlessly with his drifting thoughts. He remembered a quiet moment near the riverbank when Ash had sat on a large, smooth stone, sketching a rough map of the path they had taken. Pikachu had nestled close, watching the pencil trace gentle lines on paper. The sun had fallen low, painting the water in warm hues of orange and gold, and even the forest seemed to pause for that brief moment of stillness. Pikachu had felt the gentle hum of contentment, a deep, steady calm that resonated with the very rhythm of the world. Bulbasaur had been nearby, leaning lazily against a tree, eyes half closed, absorbing the fading sunlight. Squirtle had splashed in the shallow edge of the river, sending tiny arcs of water glittering in the last rays of day. Togepi had clung to Misty's arm, its eyes wide with awe, every little squeak and giggle adding to the soft chorus of the evening. Pikachu had watched them all, a small, silent guardian, feeling a quiet pride in the bonds that had strengthened through simple presence rather than words. He recalled the laughter that had floated across the forest clearing when Squirtle playfully flicked water toward Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur had responded with a slow, deliberate movement of its vine, sending droplets back like soft sparks in the sunlight. Pikachu had joined in, nudging small rocks into the water to create tiny ripples that reflected and refracted the light, his tiny paws precise yet gentle. Each playful interaction had left a warm imprint on his memory, soft edges that glowed faintly in the quiet of the night. Even the little challenges of the day were now memories imbued with a tender sense of accomplishment. Crossing slippery stones, navigating through dense underbrush, and helping Togepi over small obstacles had all tested him in tiny ways. Yet in recalling them now, the tension of those moments had dissolved, leaving only satisfaction, warmth, and the gentle hum of being needed, of contributing. The tent was still and cozy. Pikachu's ears twitched softly, attuned to every subtle sound, the occasional drip of water from the tent flap, the distant rustle of an unseen Pokémon, the faint murmur of the river and the forest beyond. Each noise blended into a harmonious lullaby, a rhythm that carried memories along with it, linking day to night seamlessly. Pikachu's gaze, though half closed in dreams, flicked toward Ash's sleeping form. He could almost see the subtle expressions of the day etched into his friend's relaxed posture, the lines of effort, the slight curve of satisfaction, the glow of shared moments. The bonds formed and strengthened through play, guidance, and protection wrapped around him like a warm, invisible blanket. A gentle sigh escaped Pikachu as he imagined the golden sunlight that had filtered through the canopy, now replaced by the soft glow of the lantern and the silver mist outside. The contrast between the vibrant energy of day and the gentle calm of night deepened his appreciation for both. Each memory was now a lantern of its own, casting soft illumination across the landscape of his mind, highlighting not only adventures, but quiet victories, subtle joys, and the intricate dance of friendship that had unfolded naturally. Even the tiniest details lingered in his memory, the way a leaf shivered as a raindrop fell, the soft buzz of a bee drill in the distance, the glint of water in a puddle reflecting the sky. These had been mundane moments by day, but now, framed by the gentle hush of night, they felt precious, imbued with significance. Pikachu recognized them as threads in the tapestry of life, subtle textures that gave depth and warmth to his world. And so, as the rain continued to fall lightly outside, as shadows shifted softly with the lantern's glow, Pikachu drifted further, wrapped in both memory and dream. Each recollection merged with the quiet comfort of the present, forming a gentle, endless cycle of warmth and reflection that would carry him into deeper sleep. Outside, the misty forest seemed to breathe in slow, deliberate rhythms, the soft drip of water from leaves echoing gently through the night. Pikachu's small body shifted slightly, tail curling closer as his dreams carried him through the familiar landscapes of the day. The warmth of the lantern inside the tent blended with the silver glow outside, casting a cocoon of soft light and shadows that cradled him in tranquility. He recalled the moment near the riverbank when the sun had just begun to dip behind the horizon, painting the sky in pastel streaks of pink, lavender, and gold. The colors had reflected on the water's surface, shimmering like liquid glass. Pikachu remembered the gentle lapping of the river, each small wave a soft caress against the stones, and the tiny ripples that had danced with every playful splash from Squirtle. That day's adventure, once filled with movement and excitement, now felt like a tender melody, a quiet song he could carry into the night. Bulbasaur's soft, steady breathing had mingled with the hum of the forest. Pikachu had watched its vines flex slowly, each movement deliberate, rhythmic, a dance that mirrored the calm of the flowing river. The Pokémon had seemed almost meditative, a living embodiment of serenity amidst the playful chaos around them. Pikachu had felt an unspoken connection, a silent understanding that some moments needed no words, only attention, presence, and appreciation. He remembered Togepi's tiny squeals of delight as a particularly bright berry was found. The little Pokémon had clapped its hands softly, eyes wide with wonder. Pikachu had nudged it gently, encouraging the discovery, and had felt a rush of quiet satisfaction. It was not a grand adventure or a heroic feat, but the warmth of being part of another's joy had resonated deeply within him. Even in sleep, that simple happiness hummed gently in his heart. The forest around them had been alive in subtle ways, leaves shaking under the weight of raindrops, a sudden rustle of unseen creatures moving through the brush, the faint, melodious call of a distant hoot-hoot. Every detail had contributed to the tapestry of the day, a rich weave of sensory experiences that now carried Pikachu smoothly into slumber. He imagined each sound as a note in a lullaby, harmonizing perfectly with the soft rustle of the tent and the rhythm of the rain outside. Even the fleeting challenges of the day, slipping on wet stones, scrambling through tangled undergrowth, the delicate task of balancing on narrow logs were remembered with a warm glow rather than frustration. Each small hurdle had been a chance to learn, to grow, to strengthen bonds with friends. In the gentle quiet of the night, these moments felt like tiny treasures, subtle proof of perseverance and care. Pikachu's tail twitched as he dreamed of guiding Togepi carefully over a shallow stream. The little Pokémon's tiny paws had hesitated, uncertain, but Pikachu's gentle nudges had encouraged each careful step. Togepi had looked up, eyes sparkling with trust and gratitude, and Pikachu had felt the profound, quiet joy that comes from protecting someone and sharing a moment of triumph, however small. He remembered Ash's encouraging words, soft but full of warmth, the way they had made him feel valued and understood. Misty's patient guidance and quiet smiles, Brock's calm assurance and steady presence, all these threads of companionship wove themselves together into a blanket of comfort. Even Squirtle's playful antics had their place in this quiet reflection, each splash and laugh now a note in a gentle, nocturnal symphony. The rain continued, each drop a tiny percussion against the tent. It was soft, almost hypnotic, carrying the memories of the day like whispers through the night. Pikachu felt the interconnectedness of everything the friends he cherished, the forest that cradled them, the tiny victories and shared joys of the day all merging into a serene, unbroken rhythm. And as he drifted further into sleep, the lines between memory and dream blurred. The day's adventures became a gentle, glowing light that danced around him, soft and tender, perfectly in tune with the quiet melody of the night. Pikachu's small chest rose and fell in harmony with the rhythm, and the warmth of friendship, adventure, and comfort wrapped him entirely in its embrace. The night outside was now almost imperceptibly quiet. The rain reduced to a soft, steady patter that kissed leaves and puddles with delicate precision. Pikachu's small body lay curled in the warmth of the tent, ears flicking occasionally as he absorbed the tranquil rhythm of the forest. The lantern's golden glow painted gentle shadows on the canvas walls, creating a soft dance of light and dark that seemed almost alive, breathing in sync with the world outside. His dreams carried him back to the forest clearing, where the sunlight had dappled through the leaves earlier that day. He remembered the soft crunch of twigs beneath his tiny paws, the delicate rustle of grass as he and his friends had moved through the undergrowth, and the occasional splash of water as Squirtle leapt into a shallow stream. Each memory was vivid, but softened by the passage of time, like a painting touched by gentle watercolors, alive, yet tender and soothing. Pikachu recalled the quiet companionship shared with Ash. The trainer had been patient and thoughtful, guiding him through each small task with care, offering smiles, encouragement, and gentle praise. Even without words, Pikachu had felt the bond grow stronger, a quiet understanding that transcended speech. Misty's gentle guidance and Togepi's tiny, bright laughter had joined this harmony, creating a warm, intricate network of connection that filled the Pokemon's heart with quiet joy. Bulbasaur had moved with steady purpose, each vine and leaf reacting subtly to the terrain. Pikachu had watched and learned, the slow, deliberate movements teaching him the value of patience and mindfulness. Squirtle, by contrast, had brought bursts of energy, playful leaps, and splashes that reminded him of the joy found in spontaneity. Together, each friend had contributed to the tapestry of the day, weaving calm and excitement, effort and play into a seamless whole. Even the smallest details lingered in Pikachu's mind, the way a dewdrop hung from a leaf, trembling before it fell, the faint glimmer of sunlight on the surface of a puddle, the soft hum of the forest insects as they went about their night activities. These seemingly trivial observations now felt profound, each one a quiet testament to the world's intricate beauty and the gentle rhythm of life. The warmth of shared moments remained with him. The berry-picking adventure had been simple but meaningful, a series of small triumphs, shared discoveries, and quiet encouragements. Togepi's delighted squeals and Ash's calm, guiding presence had made the activity feel larger than life, a vivid mosaic of small joys. Pikachu could feel the lingering warmth of that day, a gentle ember glowing within him even as the night drew him deeper into slumber. The sound of the rain became hypnotic, a gentle drumbeat accompanying the ebb and flow of his thoughts. Each drop seemed to carry memory and meaning, connecting the day's experiences to the quiet of the present. Even distant noises, a rustle in the underbrush, the call of a nocturnal Pokémon, the soft wind brushing through the trees became part of the symphony, a lullaby composed entirely by the forest itself. Pikachu's tail twitched faintly in dream, reflecting the subtle sparks of emotion running through his mind. Pride, joy, contentment, and warmth swirled together, creating a harmonious sense of completeness. The adventures, however small, had left an imprint not only on the world, but on him, forming a gentle bond with every friend and every moment. Each memory was a soft lantern glowing in the darkness, illuminating the path to deeper rest. And as his breathing slowed, syncing perfectly with the gentle rhythm of the night, Pikachu felt the full embrace of peace. The forest, his friends, and the gentle melody of memories combined to form a cocoon of calm. The day's warmth now flowed seamlessly into the serenity of the night, carrying him toward dreams as soft and luminous as the golden lantern light in his tent. The rain outside had slowed to the faintest whisper, mist rising gently from the forest floor and drifting between trees like delicate threads of silver. Inside the tent, the golden lantern glow flickered softly, casting long, comforting shadows that danced lazily across the canvas walls. Pikachu's small body was still curled, tail tucked close, ears relaxed yet alert to the night's quiet symphony. Each soft droplet of rain became part of a lullaby, carrying memories, warmth, and the promise of peaceful dreams. He drifted further into recollections, savoring the details that had seemed mundane by day, but now shone in gentle brilliance. The slight sway of branches, the shimmer of sunlight on a puddle, the cool brush of a river's edge against his paws, all now felt profound, like subtle brushstrokes in a painting only visible in the stillness of night. Pikachu's mind merged these images into a seamless tapestry, a harmonious blend of adventure, friendship, and calm reflection. The faces of his friends appeared softly in his dreams. Ash, calm yet energetic, had guided him with patient encouragement. Misty had smiled gently, her presence soothing. Togepi's tiny, gleeful squeaks echoed faintly in his mind, a sound of pure joy. Bulbasaur and Squirtle had brought quiet strength and playful energy, each balancing the other in perfect harmony. Pikachu felt the deep, unspoken connection, a comforting sense that he belonged to something larger than himself, a bond strengthened by trust, care, and shared adventure. Even the small challenges of the day, slipping on wet stones, navigating dense underbrush, leaping over narrow logs, were now memories of quiet accomplishment. They no longer held tension or worry, but became gentle affirmations of perseverance and attentiveness. Each obstacle, each tiny triumph, contributed to the rhythm of the day and now enriched the serene melody of the night. The gentle sway of the tent walls in the faint breeze reminded Pikachu of the trees' graceful movements outside. He imagined the forest breathing in rhythm with him, each leaf and blade of grass rising and falling, each tiny creature moving in sync with the slow heartbeat of the world. Even distant sounds, the soft call of a nocturnal Pokémon, the faint splash of a river, the subtle rustle of leaves blended together into a lullaby perfectly tuned for rest and reflection. Pikachu's tail twitched as he revisited a memory of guiding Togepi across a small patch of wet grass, careful to avoid puddles. The little Pokemon's tiny steps had been tentative, but Pikachu's encouragement had made each one confident. He recalled the trust in Togepi's eyes, the joy of shared accomplishment, and the gentle pride that came from being helpful and protective. It was not a grand adventure, but it was meaningful, a quiet, glowing thread in the fabric of the shared experiences. The warmth of companionship filled him, mingling with the soft glow of the lantern and the cool, misty scent of the forest. He remembered the simple joys of the day, berry picking, playful splashes, quiet observation, and the gentle guidance of friends, and allowed each memory to settle in his chest like a soft ember. The light of these memories blended seamlessly with the darkness of night, creating a cocoon of calm that carried him deeper into slumber. Even as he slept, Pikachu's mind remained alert in the gentlest way, noting the subtleties of the night, the continuity of life, and the comfort of shared presence. He sensed the harmony of the forest, the rhythm of the rain, the heartbeat of friendship, and the flow of the day into night. All of it merged into one seamless feeling of peace, quiet satisfaction, and belonging. Finally, with a contented sigh, Pikachu's small eyes closed fully, ears drooping softly. His tail wrapped snugly around him, and the warmth of the day, the friendships, and the gentle lullaby of the forest enveloped him completely. The mist outside shimmered faintly in the soft moonlight. The lantern cast its golden glow across the tent floor, and the quiet world embraced him in serene perfection. The memories of the day and the gentle rhythm of the night intertwined, forming a bridge from wakefulness into dreams. Pikachu slept soundly, completely, and the forest, the rain, and the companionship of friends whispered a lullaby that promised safety, warmth, and the soft glow of adventure yet to come. The rain had finally tapered to a gentle drizzle, leaving the forest shimmering under the moonlight. Tiny droplets clung to leaves and blades of grass, refracting the pale glow of the stars above into miniature points of silver light. Inside the tent, Pikachu lay nestled close to Ash, ears flicking occasionally at the soft sounds drifting in from the misty forest. Each faint rustle, each distant call of a nocturnal Pokémon blended into the lullaby of the night. Though the day had been full of movement and excitement, now the world slowed as if the forest itself had exhaled. Pikachu's mind wandered effortlessly between memories and dreams, savoring the warmth of companionship and the soft, steady rhythm of the present. The gentle sway of the tent walls in the faint breeze mirrored the sway of the trees outside, a synchronized dance of shadow and light that cradled him further into calm. He remembered the playful chase through the forest clearing, the way Squirtle had darted through puddles, sending droplets glinting in sunlight high into the air. Togepi's delighted squeals had echoed through the clearing, and even Bulbasaur's slow, deliberate movements had contributed to the rhythm of the day. Now, in the quiet night, these memories felt tender, like gentle brushstrokes in a painting, illuminating the path from wakefulness to sleep. Pikachu's thoughts drifted to the riverbank, where sunlight had danced upon the water's surface, turning it into a sheet of liquid gold. Ash had crouched nearby, carefully sketching the path they had taken, and Pikachu had watched with quiet curiosity. The sun's warmth, the smooth flow of water, and the soft rustle of leaves had all combined into a serene symphony that now replayed in his mind, each detail magnified by the tranquility of night. The tent smelled faintly of earth and mist, carrying with it the sense of the forest and the soft tang of wet foliage. Pikachu inhaled deeply, savoring the comforting aroma that mingled with the warmth of his friends nearby. Even the smallest details of the day, the shimmer of a dewdrop, the faint buzz of a bee drill, the gentle brush of leaves against his fur, came alive again, each one a thread in the quilt of memories wrapping him in calm. Outside, a soft breeze rustled the leaves, and Pikachu's ears twitched at the faint, musical hoot of a hoot-hoot perched somewhere nearby. The sound was steady, rhythmic, almost like a metronome for the night, blending seamlessly with the occasional drip of rain from the remaining droplets on the tent flap. He imagined the forest as a living, breathing entity, each part moving in harmony, carrying the subtle weight of the night's serenity. Pikachu's tail twitched slightly as his mind floated through the simple joys of the day: berry picking, river splashes, quiet guidance, and playful companionship. Each memory shimmered like a lantern, illuminating the soft contours of the present. Though he could no longer see the bright sun or hear the laughter of midday, the essence of those moments remained, transformed into gentle warmth that pulsed steadily in his chest. Even the small challenges of the day, the slips, stumbles, and awkward leaps, now felt like soft notes in a lullaby. Each one had contributed to the gentle rhythm of life, the dance of friendship, and the joy of shared experience. Pikachu recognized the value in every moment, the beauty in every simple interaction, and the comfort of knowing that he was surrounded by friends who cared, guided, and played alongside him. He remembered guiding Togepi carefully over a small patch of wet grass, encouraging each tentative step with subtle sparks of light that never startled but reassured. Togepi's trust had shone like a tiny beacon in the warmth of his heart, a gentle reminder of the bonds that formed silently yet unbreakably through care and attention. That memory, more than any other, filled him with a deep, quiet contentment. The lantern's glow flickered softly above, casting long shadows that stretched and contracted like slow waves. Pikachu imagined the stars above, tiny points of silver scattered across the vast, dark sky, mirroring the glimmer of the lantern light inside. Each memory, each gentle sound, each soft warmth of friendship felt like a star of its own, shining in harmony with the universe, wrapping him in an infinite, peaceful embrace. The night deepened, and the forest seemed to hum in quiet harmony. Each tree, each blade of grass, and each droplet of leftover rain vibrated softly in the silver glow of the moon. Pikachu's small body remained curled, tail tucked gently around him, ears flicking at every subtle sound that floated in from the misty world outside. The quiet created a cocoon of safety, of calm, and of gentle anticipation for the dreams that awaited. He recalled the soft rustle of leaves earlier in the day, when a sudden breeze had moved through the trees, carrying the mingled scents of wet earth and wildflowers. The moment had been fleeting, but in his memory it lingered like a delicate note, suspended in time. It reminded him that beauty existed not only in grand adventures, but also in the quiet, unnoticed moments, the subtle details that often went unobserved but left lasting warmth. Pikachu drifted through the recollection of the river adventure. Water had splashed against smooth stones, shimmering like liquid glass. Squirtle had jumped eagerly, sending droplets flying into the sunlight, while Bulbasaur moved steadily, its vines adjusting gracefully with each careful step. Togepi had watched wide-eyed, delight dancing in every squeak and giggle. Pikachu had guided the little Pokémon through the shallow stream, encouraging each step with the tiniest sparks of electricity. A reminder of gentle guidance rather than power. He remembered Ash's voice, calm and steady, guiding him as much as he guided others. Misty's laughter had joined the melody of the day, light and musical, while Brock's quiet chuckle had added a soft, grounding undertone. Each friend had contributed in their own way, creating a symphony of movement, sound, and warmth that had lingered long after the day ended. Even in sleep, Pikachu felt the echoes of that harmony, a gentle reassurance that he was part of something enduring and meaningful. The lantern inside the tent flickered softly, shadows stretching and contracting across the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined them as tiny dancers, performing a delicate ballet to the rhythm of the night. Each shadow, each flicker of light, seemed to carry a memory, a fragment of joy, or a trace of playful mischief from the day. He felt a subtle thrill at this thought, that even as the world grew quiet, the essence of life and friendship continued to dance around him. The remaining drops of rain tapped gently against the tent, a soft percussion that merged seamlessly with the distant, melodic calls of nocturnal Pokémon. Hoot-Hoot's calm hoots echoed faintly. The rustle of unseen critters in the underbrush added texture, and the faint murmur of the river reminded him of flow, continuity, and the quiet power of nature. In this symphony, Pikachu felt the world pause and breathe with him, a gentle heartbeat shared between forest and friend. He revisited the memory of berry picking, where Togepi's tiny hands had clumsily reached for ripe, bright fruits. Pikachu had guided the little Pokémon gently, encouraging each choice with care. The laughter, the soft joy, and the tiny sparks of playful mischief had blended into an experience far richer than the simple task itself. Now, framed by the night's tranquility, each memory glowed softly like a lantern, illuminating the deeper warmth of connection, guidance, and shared happiness. Even the smallest interactions, a nudge here, a playful splash there, a soft glance of reassurance, became magnified in the quiet of night. Each one was a thread weaving the tapestry of their day, a subtle yet powerful reminder that adventure was not only found in grand battles or wild discoveries, but also in gentle care, attentive presence, and the love that silently flows between friends. Pikachu's tail flicked faintly, a gentle response to the surge of contentment and calm that filled him. He imagined the stars above the forest canopy, their faint glow reflected in puddles and droplets scattered across leaves. Each star mirrored a memory, a joy, a spark of warmth, a soft, consolatory glow linking the past day to the comforting night. And as he drifted deeper into dreams, the distinction between memory and sleep blurred. Each sensation, each whisper of sound, and each soft recollection became part of an infinite, gentle melody. The day's vibrancy, the night's calm, and the bonds of friendship intertwined, carrying him forward into a serene, endless pause where peace reigned supreme, and every memory glimmered like a small, radiant star. The night wrapped around the forest like a soft blanket, muffling all harshness and leaving only gentle rhythms. Pikachu lay curled beside Ash, the warmth of friendship and shared adventures settling deep into his small chest. Each faint whisper of wind, each soft rustle of leaves, and each distant call of nocturnal Pokémon wove together into a lullaby, carrying him further into the soothing embrace of sleep. He revisited a memory of crossing a sun-dappled clearing earlier in the day. The grass had been slick with dew, each blade catching light like a tiny crystal. Squirtle had bounded ahead, sending droplets flying, while Bulbasaur had moved with deliberate care, vines flexing gracefully. Pikachu had guided Togepi through the space, careful to encourage each step without rushing, his own tiny paws adjusting to the wet terrain with subtle precision. The memory was vivid, yet softened by the comforting veil of night, each detail a gentle spark in his mind. The lantern's glow flickered above, casting long, warm shadows across the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined the shadows as tiny dancers performing a slow, measured ballet to the rhythm of the night. Each movement mirrored the forest outside, leaves swaying, branches brushing softly against each other, and drops of rain dripping in irregular yet calming cadence. In this delicate interplay of light and shadow, Pikachu felt the world breathe in unison with him, a shared pulse of life and tranquility. He thought of Ash's quiet guidance, Misty's playful encouragement, and Brock's calm steadiness. Togepi's tiny squeaks and laughter echoed faintly in memory, each sound a note in the soft symphony of the day. Even the playful mischief of Squirtle, splashing through puddles and startling Bulbasaur, contributed to the harmony. Pikachu felt a profound sense of connection, a reminder that friendship and trust formed the gentle architecture of the world he inhabited. The soft scent of wet earth mingled with the subtle aroma of berries Pikachu had remembered from the day. Each inhale carried memories, layering scent with emotion. The faint coolness of the evening brushed against his fur, mingling with the warmth of shared presence, creating a delicate balance between comfort and alertness. The forest's nocturnal melody became richer, more immersive, with each breath he took syncing subtly with the quiet rhythms outside. He recalled the simple joys of playful exploration, the careful balance on slick rocks, the thrill of hopping over tiny streams, and the satisfaction of helping Togepi navigate safely. Even minor mishaps, such as a slip or a startled squeak, were now recollections of laughter, learning, and shared presence. In the quiet of the night, these memories were amplified softly, like gentle echoes, reinforcing the deep sense of belonging and warmth that had carried him through the day. The stars peeked through the gaps in the tree canopy, tiny points of silver scattered across the vast, dark sky. Pikachu's mind merged these celestial lights with the lantern's gentle glow, each star reflecting a memory, a feeling, or a spark of joy. Together they created a constellation of experience, guiding him through the night with serene luminescence. Each twinkle reminded him of the day's adventures, friendships, and small triumphs, their soft glow weaving seamlessly into the comforting embrace of sleep. Pikachu's tail twitched slightly as he dreamed of helping Togepi over a patch of soft moss. Each step required care, patience, and gentle encouragement. The little Pokemon's trust and delight mirrored the day's broader experiences, emphasizing the quiet victories that often went unnoticed. It was not a moment of grandeur, but one of quiet intimacy, a testament to the bonds that held him and his friends together. The night's melody, the rain's distant whispers, the soft rustling of leaves, and the forest's subtle nocturnal chorus became a seamless lullaby. Pikachu's breathing slowed, sinking gently with the rhythm of the world outside. The line between memory, reflection, and dream blurred, creating a vast, continuous expanse of warmth, comfort, and serenity. In this shared moment of peace, the forest, the friends, and the memories themselves seemed to envelop him, whispering a lullaby that promised safety, calm, and the gentle anticipation of tomorrow. The forest outside was now a soft blur of silver and shadow, each tree and leaf bathed in the tender glow of moonlight. Tiny droplets clung to moss and grass, refracting the stars' faint light into scattered points that danced gently in the darkness. Inside the tent, Pikachu lay still, tail wrapped around himself, ears flicking at every faint sound, each whisper of movement from the world outside forming part of a quiet, nocturnal symphony. Pikachu's mind wandered to the earlier afternoon when the sun had shone warmly over the riverbank. Squirtle had leapt gleefully into the shallow water, sending arcs of sparkling droplets into the air, while Bulbasaur had moved slowly and deliberately, vines adjusting gracefully to the terrain. Togepi had squeaked excitedly at each splash, clapping tiny hands, and Pikachu had guided it carefully, nudging gently to help maintain balance and safety. These moments, simple yet profound, now felt illuminated by the gentle hush of the night. He remembered the sound of Ash's calm voice, offering reassurance and guidance without hurry or judgment. Misty's soft laughter had added a musical undertone, while Brock's steady presence provided a grounding layer of comfort. Each friend had played a role, creating a harmony of care and companionship that Pikachu could feel in the quiet of his dreams. Even the playful mischief of Squirtle, teasing and splashing, contributed to the symphony, reminding him of joy and spontaneity. The lantern's glow flickered overhead, casting elongated, warm shadows across the canvas walls of the tent. Pikachu imagined these shadows as dancers, moving slowly and gracefully in time with the night's soft rhythm. Each flicker of light carried with it a memory, the thrill of a small leap, the laughter of a friend, the gentle nudge of reassurance. Together, these memories created a soft, immersive glow, wrapping him in warmth and calm. Outside, the forest hummed faintly, leaves rustling in the breeze, the river whispering softly, and distant Pokémon calls adding texture to the night. The rain had almost completely faded, leaving only residual droplets clinging to leaves and pooling in tiny depressions on the forest floor. The gentle sounds of dripping water became part of the lullaby, harmonizing with the subtle nocturnal chorus. Pikachu felt a deep connection with this world, a sense of being an integral, though small, part of its rhythm and beauty. He reflected on the simple triumphs of the day, careful crossings over slick rocks, the tiny victories of berry picking, and the patient guidance of Togepi through uneven terrain. Each small success had left a mark, not in grandeur, but in warmth, trust, and shared accomplishment. These memories glowed softly in his mind, small beacons of reassurance and contentment, carrying him further into the gentle embrace of the night. Pikachu's tail twitched gently as he drifted into recollections of quiet, serene moments. The sun filtering through leaves, the shimmer of a puddle reflecting the sky, the soft crunch of forest floor under tiny paws, all became part of a luminous memory landscape. Each moment held value and beauty, heightened now by the tranquility of night. Even the day's minor mishaps had transformed into gentle lessons, small sparks in the soft glow of reflection. He imagined the stars overhead mirrored in the pond near the riverbank, each flickering point of light corresponding to a memory, a feeling, or a shared moment. The reflection of constellations in water and the soft lantern light inside the tent merged in his mind, creating a seamless, infinite expanse of gentle illumination. Each memory and thought became a radiant thread, weaving together the day's adventures with the calm of the present. The rustling of leaves, distant calls of hoot-hoot, and the faint gurgle of the river became a lullaby, syncing with Pikachu's slow, steady breathing. Each sound, each memory, each flicker of light contributed to a cocoon of warmth, safety, and serenity. His body and mind relaxed completely, surrendering to the harmony of night, the comfort of friendship, and the soft embrace of dreams that waited just beyond the veil of awareness. The night had settled fully, a soft, embracing calm spreading through the forest. Every leaf, blade of grass, and droplet of water seemed to hum in quiet resonance with the gentle rhythm of life around it. Pikachu lay curled beside Ash, the warmth of his friends radiating like an invisible lantern, blending perfectly with the soft glow of the small lantern inside the tent. Each flicker of light and each distant, subtle forest sound formed a delicate, continuous lullaby that soothed him deeper into rest. Pikachu's mind drifted to the day's small wonders. The way sunlight had danced upon the river, splashing gold across rippling water. The way Bulbasaur had navigated the forest floor with patient, deliberate steps. The tiny squeaks of delight from Togepi as it clumsily reached for ripe berries. Squirtle's gleeful leaps, sending sprays of water into the air. Each memory shimmered in his mind, softened by the night, and yet glowed with quiet brilliance, a reminder of the day's gentle joys. He recalled the comforting presence of his friends Ash's calm and steady guidance, Misty's cheerful encouragement, Brock's reassuring steadiness, even the mischievous antics of Squirtle, the joyful energy of playful splashes, and the curious exploration of Togepi had added layers of harmony to the day. Now, in the tranquil night, each action and interaction took on a meditative quality, a tender rhythm of connection and care that cradled him as he drifted between wakefulness and dream. The lantern overhead flickered softly, casting gentle shadows that danced lazily along the tent walls. Pikachu imagined them as tiny storytellers, each shape and movement recounting a fragment of the day. A hop over a stream, a clumsy slip, a satisfied squeak, a small victory. Together, the flickering shadows formed a quiet symphony of light and memory, a dance of warmth and calm that mirrored the steady pulse of the forest outside. Outside, the residual mist shimmered in the moonlight, moving lazily through the trees. Each droplet on leaves reflected the stars above, creating a delicate network of miniature lights, like a galaxy condensed into the forest floor. Pikachu imagined each star and reflected droplet as a tiny guardian, a glowing thread connecting the day's adventures to the night's serene embrace. Every sparkle, every subtle glow reinforced a sense of wonder, continuity, and gentle protection. He thought of guiding Togepi across a patch of slick moss. Each step required patience and gentle encouragement, yet every successful movement was met with delight and trust. Pikachu felt a deep, quiet satisfaction, a profound understanding that the smallest gestures often held the most enduring warmth. Each memory carried an emotional resonance, a gentle reminder that care, trust, and shared presence formed the invisible threads of lasting bond. The soft sounds of the night, a distant hoot-hoot, the faint gurgle of a stream, the rustle of leaves stirred by the breeze merged seamlessly into a lullaby. Pikachu's tail twitched lightly, his breathing syncing with the rhythm of the forest. The day's adventures, the night's calm, and the gentle presence of friends blended into a seamless wave of comfort, creating a lullaby composed of memory, warmth, and connection. He remembered the sunlight on the river, the shimmer of puddles, and the soft crunch of forest floor beneath tiny paws. These simple details now felt like treasures, each one a tiny spark that illuminated the gentle arc of the day. The minor mishaps, a slip, a startled squeak, a clumsy jump had become small, glowing lessons, subtle reminders of perseverance, care, and the quiet joy of being together. Pikachu felt the full embrace of the night, the interconnectedness of his experiences, and the gentle pulse of life surrounding him. Each breath, each heartbeat, each faint flicker of memory contributed to a profound sense of peace. The lantern's soft glow, the whispering forest, and the tender recollections of the day merged into a perfect cocoon, carrying him further into dreams that shimmered like a constellation of gentle light, soft warmth, and infinite calm. The forest outside had grown almost silent, the rain long gone, leaving only the faint, rhythmic hum of nocturnal life. Tiny ripples formed in puddles from residual drops, reflecting the stars above in shimmering silver patterns. Inside the tent, Pikachu lay still, tail wrapped snugly around himself, ears relaxed and eyes softly closed. The warmth of his friends and the soft golden glow of the lantern combined to create a sanctuary of calm, a perfect cocoon for peaceful slumber. Pikachu's mind drifted effortlessly through the gentle memories of the day. He recalled the sunlight dancing across the river, the small splash of water as Squirtle leaped, Bulbasaur's deliberate, graceful steps, and Togepi's squeaks of delight. Even the subtle moments, the rustle of leaves, the shimmer of morning dew, the soft scent of berries, seemed magnified in the serene quiet. Each one a small, luminous treasure tucked into the heart of memory. The bond with Ash felt especially strong in this moment of reflection. The calm guidance, the quiet encouragement, the shared glances that spoke volumes, all had created a network of understanding and trust. Misty's cheerful laughter and Brock's quiet steadiness added layers of comfort, while the playful antics of Squirtle and the innocent curiosity of Togepi provided warmth and joy. Pikachu felt these connections wrap around him like a gentle, protective cloak, each thread shimmering softly into the lantern light. Outside, the forest seemed to breathe with him, each tree swaying gently, each leaf whispering softly, and each distant Pokémon call blending seamlessly into the nocturnal symphony. Hoot-hoots, soft hoots echoed in the distance, while the stream murmured a delicate, soothing melody. Even the faint rustle of unseen creatures in the underbrush contributed to the layered lullaby, merging with the flicker of the lantern inside the tent to form a harmonious, immersive cocoon of serenity. Pikachu's tail twitched faintly as he remembered guiding Togepi across a patch of slick moss. Each small step had required patience, care, and encouragement, and each successful movement had brought quiet satisfaction and trust. In the gentle glow of the night, these tiny victories felt monumental proof that connection, attentiveness, and care could transform even the simplest actions into moments of profound meaning. The stars above were reflected in every puddle and dewdrop, tiny points of light mirrored in the silvered forest floor. Each reflection seemed to carry the day's warmth and joy, creating a constellation of experience that enveloped Pikachu in soft illumination. Memories and present sensation merged seamlessly, like rivers joining to form a calm, infinite ocean of tranquility. He thought of the berry-picking adventure, the playful splashes, and the small, deliberate steps taken through the dense foliage. Each memory radiated warmth and quiet pride, intertwining with the serene rhythm of the night. The minor stumbles and hesitations of the day now felt like gentle lessons, each one adding depth to the tapestry of his experiences and reinforcing the tender bonds of friendship. The lantern's glow flickered softly overhead, casting moving patterns across the tent walls. Pikachu imagined the shadows dancing in quiet celebration, retelling the story of the day's small triumphs and joys, the flickering light, the muted sounds of the forest, and the lingering warmth of friendship combined into a lullaby that carried him effortlessly deeper into dreams where memory, imagination, and serenity intertwined. Finally, Pikachu's breathing slowed completely, syncing with the subtle pulse of the forest outside. The warmth of companionship, the quiet melodies of night, and the gentle glow of memory enveloped him entirely. Each thought, sensation, and recollection became part of a seamless, infinite rhythm, a lullaby of peace, comfort, and gentle anticipation of adventures yet to come. In the quietest part of the night, with stars reflecting in puddles, the soft glow of the lantern, and the gentle rhythm of his friends breathing nearby, Pikachu finally drifted into deep, undisturbed sleep. The forest whispered softly around him, and dreams began to shimmer soft, bright, and infinite, carrying him through a perfect, peaceful night. The night had deepened, and the moon hung low and luminous above the treetops, its silver light spilling through the canopy in soft, ethereal beams. Tiny motes of mist drifted lazily through the forest, catching the moonlight and scattering it like delicate diamonds suspended in the air. Inside the tent, Pikachu remained curled beside Ash, tail tucked close, ears relaxed, and eyes half closed, savoring the quiet symphony of night. The soft hum of nocturnal life filtered through the tent walls, the distant hoot of hoot-hoots, the rustle of small creatures moving through fallen leaves, and the faint murmur of the nearby stream. Each sound, subtle yet layered, blended into a calming rhythm that made the forest feel alive yet infinitely safe. Pikachu's ears twitched faintly, not in alertness but in appreciation, as if each whisper of the night were a note in a lullaby composed just for him. He drifted into memories of the afternoon's wanderings. The sun had been warm but gentle, reflecting off the river in liquid gold and sending tiny sparks dancing across the water's surface. Squirtle had jumped gleefully, splashing droplets into the sunlight, while Bulbasaur had moved deliberately, vines adjusting gracefully to the uneven forest floor. Togepi had squeaked excitedly, stumbling slightly, but trusting Pikachu's guidance to navigate each obstacle. The day had been simple, yet every moment felt infused with quiet joy and gentle connection. Inside the tent, the golden lantern cast flickering shadows across the walls. Pikachu imagined them as tiny dancers, each movement echoing the rhythm of the forest outside. Every flicker mirrored a memory, a splash of water, a soft nudge of reassurance, a delighted squeak transforming simple recollections into a living, breathing tapestry of the day. Even as he drifted toward sleep, each memory radiated warmth and quiet light, carrying him deeper into the serenity of night. The cool, faintly damp scent of the forest seeped into the tent, mingling with the comforting warmth of the lantern and the subtle presence of his friends. Each inhalation carried layers of memory. The softness of moss beneath tiny paws, the shimmer of puddles after the brief rain, the faint sweetness of berries Pikachu had tasted earlier. Every detail intertwined, forming a sensory lullaby that resonated in perfect harmony with the stillness around him. Pikachu's mind wandered to the small triumphs of the day, guiding Togepi over slick patches, careful leaps across streams, and playful splashes with Squirtle. Each act, though minor in appearance, had contributed to a deeper sense of confidence, trust, and joy. The quiet satisfaction of helping others, of observing and participating in the flow of life, wrapped around him like a soft, invisible blanket, reinforcing the warmth and calm that the night carried. Outside, the moonlight shimmered on the remnants of rain-soaked leaves, transforming every droplet into a tiny, radiant jewel. Pikachu imagined each reflecting star above, mirrored perfectly in the forest floor below. Together, the moon and the mirrored stars created a silent dialogue of light, echoing the quiet joy, companionship, and gentle curiosity that had shaped the day. Each tiny glimmer felt like a soft caress of reassurance, a promise that the forest, the friends, and the world itself were aligned in harmony and peace. Pikachu's tail flicked gently as he thought of Togepi, whose tiny hands had struggled but persisted when crossing mossy patches. Each successful step had been a testament to care, patience, and gentle encouragement, a reminder that even the smallest victories mattered. Now, in the deep quiet of the night, these subtle triumphs glimmered like miniature constellations, radiating warmth and satisfaction across his dreams. The gentle swaying of the tent, caused by a light breeze filtering through the trees, created a rhythmic motion that mirrored the soft heartbeat of the forest. Pikachu imagined the entire woodland breathing with him, each tree, leaf, and droplet participating in a subtle, interconnected dance. The harmony of this natural rhythm carried him closer to dreams, where the memories of the day and the serenity of the night merged seamlessly into one continuous, glowing lullaby. The night's stillness encouraged reflection, and Pikachu's mind meandered through countless tiny details: the shimmer of sunlight on a river, the playful mischief of Squirtle, the soft guidance of Ash, and the delighted squeaks of Togepi. Each memory was infused with gentle warmth, a small spark of connection, joy or reassurance that persisted into the calm of the present. The day's vibrancy, once loud and active, now transformed into soft, glowing threads that wove themselves seamlessly into the fabric of the night. The moon's silver light filtered through the leaves, creating a gentle mosaic of shadows that danced softly across the forest floor and the canvas of the tent. Pikachu's ears twitched at the faint whispers of the night. The rustle of unseen critters in the underbrush, the distant trickle of the river, and the rhythmic call of a hoot-hoot perched somewhere above. Each sound was subtle yet rich, blending into a gentle, nocturnal symphony that enveloped him in calm. Pikachu's thoughts drifted back to the day's river adventure. He remembered the sparkle of water under the warm sunlight, the playful splashes of Squirtle, and the steady, deliberate steps of Bulbasaur. Togepi's tiny squeaks of delight echoed in his memory, each one a tiny beacon of innocence and joy. Pikachu had guided the little Pokémon carefully, offering gentle nudges of reassurance, helping him navigate the slippery stones without fear. Now, under the moonlight, those moments glimmered softly, like memories infused with silver light. The soft flicker of the lantern inside the tent created moving shadows on the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined each flicker as a storyteller, retelling the day's quiet victories and simple joys. Every shadow represented a moment, a gentle splash, a playful nudge, a small step across mossy terrain, forming a silent narrative of care, trust, and friendship. The warmth of these memories wrapped around him, blending seamlessly with the night's stillness to create a cocoon of serenity. The cool scent of the forest night mingled with the residual aroma of wet earth and berries, forming a gentle sensory melody. Each inhale reminded Pikachu of the day's small wonders: the soft rustle of leaves, the smoothness of moss beneath tiny paws, and the gleam of sunlight on rippling water. Every detail, once fleeting in the activity of the day, now held a luminous quality, magnified by the quiet and peace of the moonlit forest. Pikachu's tail twitched as he thought of guiding Togepi through the wet, mossy patches. Each careful step, each squeak of delight, had been a small triumph, a testament to patience, attentiveness, and gentle encouragement. The memory glimmered warmly in his mind, a soft star in the constellation of his day, radiating reassurance and calm. Even the tiniest victories, he realized, carried the deepest joy when shared with friends. Outside, the forest moved like a slow, deliberate dance. Leaves swayed gently in the breeze, casting fleeting shadows across the forest floor. Small droplets from earlier rain clung to branches and twigs, reflecting the silver glow of the moon like tiny lanterns scattered throughout the woods. Pikachu imagined these glimmers as celestial echoes of his day, each one a subtle reminder of joy, companionship, and the gentle flow of life in harmony with the world around him. He remembered the playful moments of berry picking, the delighted squeaks, and the careful guidance through puddles. Even the minor stumbles and slips, which earlier might have felt like interruptions, now shimmered as soft, luminous lessons, reminders of patience, attentiveness, and quiet care. The combination of these memories formed a gentle rhythm, a lullaby that synchronized perfectly with the night's own pulse. The lantern flickered overhead, casting slow-moving shadows that seemed to breathe with the night. Pikachu's imagination painted these shadows as dancers, performing a delicate ballet of the day's memories. Each shadow held a tiny story: a splash of water, a guiding spark of electricity, a squeak of delight, or a comforting nuzzle. Together they created a soft, moving tapestry, illuminating the intimate beauty of the day's quiet, joyful moments. The subtle rustle of the tent in the breeze added a gentle sway to the atmosphere. Pikachu imagined the forest breathing with him, each tree, leaf, and droplet moving in harmony. The interconnected rhythm of life outside mirrored the internal rhythm of contentment, trust, and quiet reflection that Pikachu felt. Every sound, movement, and memory became part of a continuous lullaby, a seamless blend of day and night, action and calm, reality and dream. As the moonlight glimmered across the tent and forest floor, Pikachu's thoughts meandered through the day's adventures, replaying moments of joy, care, and connection. Each memory shone with warmth and subtle light, reinforcing the comfort and safety of the present. The world, friends, and memories seemed to align perfectly in this serene, nocturnal tapestry, guiding him gently toward deeper rest, where dreams would shimmer like stars reflected in a quiet stream. The moon's glow had strengthened, bathing the forest in a soft silver haze. Tiny droplets from the earlier rain clung to leaves, glinting like delicate crystals in the gentle light. The faint sounds of the nocturnal forest, the rustle of leaves, distant calls of hoot-hoot, and the subtle trickle of the stream created a peaceful rhythm that seemed perfectly synchronized with Pikachu's steady breathing. Each sound carried with it a sense of calm, a gentle reminder that the world was both alive and tender in the quiet of night. Pikachu's thoughts drifted to the simple joys of the day. He recalled the warm sunlight dancing on the river's surface, the gleeful leaps of Squirtle into shallow water, and the slow, deliberate steps of Bulbasaur over moss-covered ground. Togepi's tiny squeaks of delight echoed in his mind, each one a spark of innocence and happiness. Guiding Togepi carefully across tricky terrain had been a gentle responsibility, one Pikachu had embraced with both care and quiet pride. These memories glimmered softly now, infused with the tranquil glow of the moon. Inside the tent, the lantern cast flickering shadows that shifted across the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined the shadows as a silent troupe, retelling the day's adventures through light and movement. Each flicker represented a moment, a splash of water, a gentle nudge of reassurance, a small leap over moss. Together they formed a quiet narrative of connection and trust, weaving a delicate story that blended seamlessly with the gentle cadence of the night. The soft scent of damp earth mingled with the faint aroma of berries, creating a sensory lullaby. Every breath Pikachu took carried traces of the day's adventures, the shimmer of puddles, the softness of moss, the warmth of sunlit riverbanks. Each detail, once fleeting, now held luminous significance in the tranquility of the moonlit forest. The memories formed a tapestry of warmth and comfort, wrapping Pikachu in a gentle embrace that echoed the quiet bond he shared with his friends. He thought again of Togepi, carefully navigating the slippery moss patches. Each tiny step had required patience and encouragement, and each success radiated quiet joy. Pikachu's mind savored these moments, seeing them not as small challenges, but as affirmations of care, trust, and gentle friendship. In the serene stillness of the night, these subtle victories shone like miniature constellations, guiding him deeper into peace and contentment. Outside, the forest shimmered softly under the moonlight. Dewdrops reflected tiny fragments of silver across the ground, each one a subtle echo of the stars above. Pikachu imagined them as fragments of the day, each carrying a memory, a feeling, or a gentle lesson. The interplay of light and reflection created a magical canvas, a delicate map of both the day's adventures and the quiet serenity of the present moment. He remembered the playful splashes, the quiet guidance, and the small victories that had marked the day. Each act, Each memory resonated more profoundly now in the stillness, illuminated by the moon's soft glow. Even minor mishaps, a slip, a startled squeak had transformed into tender lessons, reminders of patience, careful guidance, and shared joy. Together they formed a rhythmic lullaby that mirrored the heartbeat of the forest and the gentle rhythm of his own breathing. The lantern's glow flickered, creating shadows that danced with slow, fluid movements. Pikachu imagined these shadows telling the day's story, moments of play, care, and connection, now immortalized in light and motion. The tent itself became a stage, the shadows performers, and the forest outside a silent audience, all participating in the quiet celebration of companionship, trust, and the gentle joys of simple adventures. Pikachu felt the forest's rhythm synchronize with his own, each movement, whisper and flicker of light blending into a harmonious cadence. The gentle sway of the tent in the breeze mirrored the subtle pulse of life outside, reinforcing the sense of unity between self and surroundings. Each memory, each sound, each tiny glimmer of light was a thread in the night's soft tapestry, weaving together day and dream, action and reflection, comfort and anticipation. With the moonlight bathing the forest and the tent in serene silver, Pikachu allowed himself to sink further into the gentle embrace of night. Every memory shimmered softly, every sound resonated calmly, and every shadow danced slowly, guiding him toward the quiet, glowing edge of dreams. The forest, his friends, and the lingering warmth of the day formed a perfect lullaby, carrying him toward the deep, serene rest that awaited beneath the watchful glow of moon and stars. The forest had settled into a serene rhythm, each leaf and blade of grass bathed in the soft silvery glow of the moon. Tiny droplets clung to moss and branches, refracting moonlight into miniature sparkling constellations. Pikachu lay curled beside Ash, tail tucked close, ears relaxed, and eyes half closed, enveloped in a cocoon of warmth, light, and the quiet presence of friends. Every subtle sound a distant hoot-hoot. The rustle of leaves, the soft trickle of the stream blended seamlessly into a soothing symphony that carried him deeper into peace. Pikachu's thoughts drifted to the simple wonders of the day. He recalled the sunlight glimmering on the river, the playful leaps and splashes of Squirtle, and Bulbasaur's steady, deliberate steps across moss-covered terrain. Togepi's tiny squeaks of delight echoed in his memory, each one a spark of joy and innocence. Guiding Togepi carefully had required patience and attentiveness, and every successful step had been met with quiet satisfaction. These small victories, now bathed in the tranquil moonlight, felt monumental in their gentle warmth. Inside the tent, the lantern's flickering glow cast elongated shadows that danced slowly across the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined these shadows as storytellers, each movement recounting the day's subtle adventures, a splash in the river, a gentle nudge of reassurance, a playful squeak of delight. The shadows formed a soft, moving tapestry that mirrored the harmony of the night outside, transforming the tent into a stage where memory, light, and reflection intertwined seamlessly. The cool scent of damp earth mingled with the faint sweetness of berries, forming a sensory lullaby that deepened Pikachu's calm. Every inhale carried the essence of the day's adventures, the shimmer of puddles, the softness of moss underfoot, the gentle warmth of friendship and trust. In the quiet of night, these details felt magnified, each one a luminous thread woven into the fabric of his serene reflection. Pikachu's tail twitched as he replayed the small triumphs with Togepi. Each careful step over slippery moss and uneven terrain had required guidance and patience. Each moment of success radiated quiet joy, teaching him the profound satisfaction that came from helping and supporting friends. These memories glimmered warmly in his mind, small constellations of accomplishment and trust, lighting the path toward restful sleep. Outside, the forest shimmered under the moonlight, droplets on leaves reflecting faint glimmers like scattered stars. Pikachu imagined each reflection as a tiny echo of the day's events, playful leaps, gentle nudges, squeaks of delight, and shared moments of quiet understanding. The reflections formed a celestial map of experience, reinforcing the gentle rhythm and harmony of the night. He remembered guiding Togepi through puddles, the subtle guidance needed to keep it steady, and the delighted squeaks that followed every successful step. Even minor stumbles had transformed into luminous lessons in patience, care, and trust. The combination of memories formed a rhythmic lullaby, harmonizing perfectly with the soft, pulsating life of the forest around him. The lantern flickered, casting moving shadows that seemed to breathe with the rhythm of the night. Pikachu imagined these shadows performing a delicate ballet, each one representing a story of friendship, play, and quiet triumphs. The tent became a stage, the shadows performers, and the forest outside a gentle, silent audience, all participating in the soft celebration of the day's subtle joys. The forest's nocturnal rhythm continued to synchronize with the Pikachu's own breathing. Every rustle, every shimmer of moonlight, every soft movement became part of a delicate, interwoven pattern, blending memories of the day with the serenity of the present. The night felt alive yet tender, vast yet intimate, guiding him gently toward dreams filled with light, warmth, and tranquility. Bathed in the moon's silver glow and cocooned in warmth, Pikachu allowed himself to sink deeper into serenity. Every memory sparkled softly, every sound resonated calmly, and every shadow danced slowly, guiding him toward a gentle, luminous edge of dreams. The forest, his friends, and the lingering warmth of the day formed a perfect lullaby, carrying him toward the profound rest and soft, glowing dreams that awaited beneath the watchful gaze of stars and moon. The forest seemed to breathe in perfect unison with the gentle sway of the tent, each leaf and branch moving softly as if performing a quiet dance under the moonlight. Pikachu's ears twitched faintly at these subtle whispers of the night, the rustle of underbrush, the far-off call of a hoot-hoot, and the faint trickle of the stream nearby. Every sound contributed to the symphony of calm, blending seamlessly with the warm glow of the lantern and the quiet presence of friends. Pikachu reflected on the small but meaningful moments of the day. The sparkling river, the playful leaps of Squirtle, and Bulbasaur's careful steps over mossy ground created a mosaic of experiences, each carrying its own gentle significance. Togepi's tiny squeaks of delight had been especially memorable, reminders of innocence, curiosity, and the quiet rewards of careful guidance. Each memory now shimmered softly in the moonlight, radiating warmth and quiet joy. Inside the tent, the lantern flickered gently, casting slow-moving shadows across the walls. Pikachu imagined these shadows as storytellers, retelling the day's adventures in subtle movements. A flicker here represented a splash in the river, a flicker there a careful nudge to encourage Togepi. Together, the dancing shadows formed a silent narrative of trust, connection, and playful companionship. Each movement, though faint, felt imbued with life and warmth, deepening the serene atmosphere. The cool, earthy scent of the forest mingled with the faint sweetness of berries, creating a sensory melody that lulled Pikachu further into calm. Every breath carried traces of the day's adventures, the shimmer of puddles, the softness of moss beneath tiny paws, and the warmth of friendship shared. In the gentle moonlit night, each detail radiated with quiet significance, wrapping Pikachu in a protective, comforting cocoon of light, sound, and memory. His tail twitched as he recalled guiding Togepi across slippery patches. Every small step required careful observation and gentle encouragement. Each successful movement became a point of quiet pride and reassurance, illuminating the subtle joys of the day. Pikachu's mind replayed these moments like tiny constellations, shining softly against the backdrop of the moonlit forests, creating a delicate map of calm and contentment. Outside, the forest glittered under the silver lights. Tiny droplets on leaves mirrored stars above, each reflecting fragments of day and night. Pikachu imagined these twinkling lights as echoes of memories, playful jumps, gentle nudges, small victories, and quiet companionship, each one a glowing thread woven into the gentle tapestry of his night. He remembered guiding Togepi through puddles, the soft laughter of Squirtle, and the warm presence of Ash, Misty, and Brock nearby. Even minor stumbles and slips from the day now glimmered as soft lessons in patience, care, and trust. The combination of these memories created a lullaby that harmonized perfectly with the natural rhythm of the forest, wrapping Pikachu in serenity and gentle assurance. The lantern's flicker danced along the walls, casting shadows that seemed to breathe and move in harmony with the night. Pikachu envisioned these shadows performing a slow, delicate ballet, each one representing moments of friendship, guidance, and playful joy. The tent transformed into a stage where memory, light, and quiet reflection intertwined, while the forest outside acted as a gentle, attentive audience. Pikachu felt the forest's rhythm synchronize with his own breathing. Each subtle sound, movement, and glimmer of light became part of an intricate, interwoven pattern, connecting the day's memories with the tranquility of the present moment. The night, vast yet intimate, guided him effortlessly toward dreams imbued with soft, glowing comfort, warmth, and the gentle promise of companionship. Wrapped in the silver glow of moonlight and the gentle embrace of his friends, Pikachu let himself sink further into serenity. Every memory glimmered softly, every sound resonated calmly, and every shadow danced slowly, guiding him to the luminous threshold of dreams. The forest, the lingering warmth of the day, and the watchful glow of stars formed a perfect, gentle lullaby, carrying him toward deep, peaceful rest beneath the eternal guardianship of moon and nights. As the moon continued its gentle journey across the sky, the forest exhaled softly, filling the night with quiet harmony. The gentle shimmer of dew on leaves, the distant murmur of the stream, and the faint calls of nocturnal creatures combined into a lullaby only the night could orchestrate. Pikachu lay curled beside Ash, tail tucked snugly around himself, ears relaxed, and eyes closed in deep comfort, cocooned in warmth, light, and the intangible magic of the forest. He drifted through the memories of the day, the playful splashes of Squirtle in sunlit puddles, Bulbasaur's deliberate steps across mossy terrain, and Togepi's tiny, enthusiastic squeaks as it explored new spaces. Each moment carried a gentle warmth, now magnified by the serene glow of moonlight filtering through the trees. Pikachu's mind lingered on the subtleties, the sparkle of water droplets, the rustle of leaves under tiny paws, the faint aroma of berries carried on the night breeze. Every detail became a part of the soft, luminous tapestry that surrounded him. Inside the tent, the lantern flickered in rhythm with the quiet pulse of the forest. Shadows danced lazily along the canvas walls, painting delicate stories of the day's adventures. A flicker here suggested a splash in the river. A flicker there, a gentle nudge to guide Togepi safely across a slippery patch. Pikachu imagined each shadow as a storyteller, weaving moments of care, trust, and joy into a quiet, moving narrative that blended seamlessly with the night outside. The sensory harmony enveloped him. The earthy scent of damp moss, the subtle sweetness of lingering berries, the gentle rustle of leaves and distant calls of Pokémon. Every element, though quiet, resonated deeply, reinforcing the sense of peace and belonging that Pikachu had carried with him throughout the day. The warmth of friendship, the soft guidance of Ash, and the playful energy of his companions all lingered like a protective, invisible blanket. Pikachu's tail twitched faintly as he recalled guiding Togepi through the slick patches of moss. Each step required patience and careful encouragement, and each success brought quiet satisfaction and trust. These memories now glimmered like miniature stars in the landscape of his mind, each one illuminating a path of gentle accomplishment and subtle triumph, a reminder that even the smallest acts of care held immense meaning. Outside, the forest shimmered beneath the moon's silver gaze. Dewdrops reflected light like scattered jewels, tiny echoes of the day's experiences and quiet lessons. Pikachu imagined each reflection as a note in the nocturnal symphony. Playful jumps, gentle guidance, joyful squeaks, and shared warmth, each one adding to the night's layered lullaby. The interplay of light, shadow, and memory formed a seamless dance, merging day and night, action and reflection, comfort and serenity. The lantern's glow continued to flicker overhead, casting slow-moving shadows that seemed to breathe with the rhythm of the night. Pikachu envisioned these shadows performing a delicate ballet of the day's events, each one representing friendship, gentle care, and moments of joy. The tent became a stage where light, memory, and reflection intertwined, while the forest outside acted as a silent, appreciative audience. The rhythm of the forest and Pikachu's own breathing intertwined perfectly. Every subtle sound, movement, and glimmer of light became part of a delicate pattern that connected the day's memories with the serenity of the present. The night felt alive yet tender, vast yet intimate, guiding him effortlessly toward a place of luminous, peaceful dreams. Bathed in moonlight, enveloped in warmth, and surrounded by the quiet magic of the forest, Pikachu surrendered fully to the calm of the night. Every memory sparkled softly, every shadow danced slowly, and every sound resonated with gentle harmony. The forest, his friends, and the lingering glow of day combined into a perfect lullaby, carrying him into deep, restorative sleep, where dreams shimmered like starlight on a still moonlit stream, and the promise of tomorrow's adventures glimmered quietly on the horizon. The night had deepened further, and the forest seemed to breathe with an almost sacred stillness. Silver moonlight filtered through the canopy, falling in delicate shafts that lit the dew-dappled leaves like tiny lanterns scattered across the woodland floor. Pikachu lay curled beside Ash, body relaxed, eyes half closed, ears flicking occasionally at the distant whispers of nocturnal life. Every sound a rustle, a soft call, a distant splash felt like part of a gentle lullaby composed specifically for him. The air was cool but comforting, carrying the faint, earthy scent of wet moss and the sweet tang of forest berries. Tiny motes of mist drifted lazily, shimmering in the moonlight as though suspended in time. Pikachu's mind wandered back to the day's adventures, replaying them softly, like a slideshow of luminous memories. The river sparkled under the afternoon sun, Squirtle leaping gleefully into shallow pools and sending droplets glittering through the light. Bulbasaur moved steadily, careful and deliberate, while Togepi's small, enthusiastic squeaks echoed in every corner of his memory. Inside the tent, the lantern's flicker cast soft shadows that danced across the walls in slow, hypnotic motion. Pikachu imagined them as tiny dancers, performing a delicate ballet that mirrored the day's events. A splash here, a gentle nudge there, a playful hop across mossy stones. Each shadow told a story of patience, care, and shared joy, transforming the quiet tent into a sanctuary of remembrance and gentle warmth. The forest night itself seemed to participate in this silent celebration. Leaves swayed slightly in the breeze, casting slow-moving patterns of light and shadow that mingled with the lantern's glow. The faint trickle of the stream provided a soft, consistent rhythm, harmonizing perfectly with the occasional distant call of a hoot-hoot. Pikachu's tail flicked once, then again in response, not to alert, but as if acknowledging the subtle symphony of life around him. He thought again of guiding Togepi across the mossy ground. Each careful step had required patience and attention, each squeak of delight a tiny reward. In the stillness of the night, these small triumphs glimmered, as bright as the moon above, reminding Pikachu of the power of gentle guidance and quiet encouragement. Even the minor mishaps, slips, or hesitant steps were now golden threads in the rich tapestry of the day, each carrying its own subtle lesson and warmth. The lantern's glow flickered gently overhead, casting shadows that seemed to breathe with the forest. Pikachu imagined each shadow as a storyteller, retelling the day's events in delicate movement. The rustle of the tent fabric in the night breeze became a soft percussion, accentuating the rhythm of memory and reflection. Every element, light, sound, shadow, and scent, harmonized into a seamless, soothing lullaby. Outside, the moonlight painted the forest in silver hues. Each dewdrop caught the soft beams, glimmering like tiny stars that had fallen from the sky. Pikachu pictured them as fragments of the day, playful leaps, gentle nudges, laughter, and reassurance, each reflecting the love and companionship he had experienced. The forest felt alive, yet infinitely gentle, a living cradle of peace that seemed to extend its embrace to every creature within it. The gentle aroma of wet earth and berries mingled with the warmth of friendship lingering inside the tent. Every inhale carried the essence of trust, care, and subtle joy, forming an invisible quilt around Pikachu. The warmth of Ash's presence beside him, the soft breathing of his companions, and the delicate symphony of nocturnal life combined into a perfect cocoon of serenity. Pikachu's mind traced the day's tiny adventures like stars in a personal constellation. Each splash, each squeak, each careful step across mossy terrain twinkled brightly in the quiet of the night. He could almost see the constellations mirrored in the forest floor, where moonlight caught the glistening dewdrops and soft puddles. The past and present merged seamlessly, forming a glowing, gentle path into dreams, a road lined with friendship, care, and luminous calm. Even the softest sounds of the night, the faint rustle of leaves, the distant trickle of water, the subtle hum of unseen creatures, were imbued with significance. Pikachu imagined them as whispers of the forest itself, telling him that the world was alive, tender, and infinitely safe. Each whisper carried reassurance that adventure would come again, that care and play were intertwined, and that the gentle rhythm of life would always continue, soft and enduring. The moonlight shimmered across the dew-specked leaves, painting each droplet with a serene glow. Pikachu's tail flicked once more, and his eyes grew heavier with the pull of sleep. The gentle orchestra of the night, the warmth of memories, and the lingering presence of friends carried him further into the comfort of rest. Every element, sound, scent, light, and shadow coalesced into a perfect lullaby, guiding him gently toward dreams filled with calm, joy, and the quiet promise of new adventures at dawn. The night deepened, and the forest seemed to exhale as if sighing in contentment beneath the silver glow of the moon. Pikachu's ears twitched faintly at the soft rustling of leaves above, each sound forming part of a delicate symphony of night. The gentle gurgle of the stream nearby provided a soothing bass line, while distant calls of nocturnal Pokémon punctuated the rhythm like tiny bells in a cathedral of quiet. Each sound resonated through the forest, blending perfectly with the warmth and safety of the tent where Pikachu rested. He remembered the afternoon's playful moments vividly, replaying them like a gentle slideshow of joy. Squirtle's gleeful splashes in the river sent droplets sparkling in sunlight, while Bulbasaur's deliberate, careful steps over mossy terrain reminded him of patience and quiet determination. Togepi's tiny squeaks of excitement echoed in his mind, each one a tender note in the lullaby of memories he now carried into the night. Even the smallest missteps, a slip on a mossy stone, or an uncertain leap now glimmered softly as subtle lessons in care, guidance, and trust. The lantern's flickering glow cast elongated shadows across the walls of the tent, shadows that seemed to sway in perfect harmony with the night. Pikachu imagined them as tiny performers, each one retelling a story from the day, a splash here, a careful nudge there, a tiny hop over moss. Every shadow became a part of the gentle narrative of care and friendship, transforming the quiet tent into a sanctuary of memory and warmth. Outside, the moonlight painted the forest floor in shifting silver patterns. Every leaf, every droplet of dew caught and reflected the light, creating a universe of tiny stars at Pikachu's feet. He imagined each glimmer as a fragment of the day's small victories, playful squeaks, and moments of quiet companionship, each one radiating calm and contentment. The forest, alive with the subtle pulse of night, became a living lullaby, harmonizing with the rhythm of Pikachu's own breath. He thought again of guiding Togepi through the puddles and over mossy patches. Each step had required patience, attentiveness, and quiet reassurance, and each successful movement had brought gentle joy. Those small moments, now illuminated by the serene glow of the moon, felt monumental in their significance. They were proof that even the tiniest acts of care could ripple into deep, quiet happiness, like pebbles sending soft waves across a still pond. The air was infused with the earthy aroma of wet soil and the faint sweetness of berries. Each inhalation carried the lingering traces of the day's adventures, wrapping Pikachu in a comforting quilt of memories and sensations. The warmth of friends nearby, the subtle flicker of the lantern, and the gentle symphony of the forest blended into a cocoon of safety and peace. In this quiet harmony, Pikachu's mind and body began to drift, flowing naturally toward rest. The lantern's shadows shifted slowly, elongating and contracting in a hypnotic rhythm. Pikachu pictured them as dancers performing the story of his day. Moments of play, careful guidance, gentle encouragement, and shared delight. Each shadow moved with purpose and grace, highlighting the subtleties of connection and the quiet beauty of friendship. The tent became a stage, the shadows performers, and the forest outside a silent, reverent audience. Even the faintest whispers of the forest, a breeze through the leaves, the trickle of water, a distant rustle, were imbued with significance. Pikachu imagined them as soft messages from the world itself, reminders that adventure would return, that care and patience were always rewarded, and that the rhythm of life would continue, gentle, constant, and reassuring. Moonlight danced across the dew-specked forest floor, casting a delicate glow over every leaf and stone. Pikachu's tail twitched in response, his eyelids growing heavier with each passing moment. The world outside and the warmth within the tent fused into a singular, perfect lullaby. guiding him gently into the soft embrace of dreams. Every sensation, sound, scent, light, and shadow became part of the tapestry that would carry him through the night, toward the quiet promise of dawn and new adventures. The forest night hummed with a quiet life, each movement subtle yet meaningful. Leaves swayed gently in the breeze, dew-laden branches sparkled like scattered stars, and the soft gurgle of the stream flowed like a delicate melody beneath the moon's silver gaze. Pikachu lay nestled beside Ash, body relaxed, tail curled tightly, and ears occasionally twitching in response to distant whispers of the nocturnal world. Every sound and movement seemed to harmonize perfectly with the serene rhythm of the night, wrapping him in a cocoon of calm. His thoughts drifted back to the day's simplest joys, now imbued with profound warmth. Squirtle's gleeful splashes in the river, Bulbasaur's careful, deliberate steps across mossy patches, and Togepi's excited squeaks echoed in his mind as a symphony of gentle delight. Even the smallest stumbles, a hesitant step or a minor slip, were now golden threads woven into the tapestry of shared experience. Each memory shimmered softly, like dewdrops reflecting moonlight, carrying subtle lessons of patience, care, and quiet companionship. Inside the tent, the lantern flickered softly, casting elongated shadows across the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined the shadows as dancers performing a slow, delicate ballet of the day's adventures. A flicker might represent a playful leap, a careful nudge, or a tiny hop across mossy terrain. Each movement was imbued with quiet significance, telling a story of friendship, guidance, and shared joy. The tent became a sanctuary where light, shadow, and memory intertwined seamlessly, reinforcing the profound sense of calm and belonging that the forest night had nurtured. The scent of damp earth mingled with the subtle sweetness of berries, forming an invisible melody that deepened Pikachu's tranquility. Every inhalation carried fragments of the day's adventures, the sparkle of water droplets, the softness of moss beneath tiny paws, and the warmth of shared trust and companionship. These sensory notes blended effortlessly with the ambient sounds of the night, creating a lullaby both tangible and ethereal, guiding him gently toward slumber. He recalled the careful guidance he had provided to Togepi, ensuring safe passage across slippery moss and shallow puddles. Each small success, each delighted squeak, resonated deeply within him. In the stillness of the moonlit forest, these moments glimmered like constellations, each a luminous point in a map of quiet triumphs and tender care. Even the minor missteps were transformed into gentle reminders of patience, nurturing, and trust, enriching the tapestry of memory that surrounded him. Outside, the moonlight bathed the forest floor in shifting silver patterns. Dewdrops on leaves reflected the light like tiny stars scattered across a miniature universe. Pikachu imagined each gleaming droplet as a fragment of the day moments of playful laughter, gentle encouragement, and shared warmth, each contributing to the soft, nocturnal lullaby that carried him deeper into peace. The forest, alive yet gentle, enveloped him completely, a living cradle of calm and reassurance. The lantern's flicker danced along the walls of the tent, casting shadows that seemed to breathe in perfect harmony with the rhythm of the night. Pikachu imagined these shadows as performers, retelling the story of his day. Small victories, playful encounters, careful guidance, and the quiet delight of companionship. Every movement of light and shadow became part of a gentle narrative, blending seamlessly with the lullaby of the forest outside. Even the faintest sounds, the whisper of a breeze through leaves, the soft trickle of the stream, or a distant nocturnal call carried significance. Pikachu imagined them as messages from the night itself, reminders that adventure awaited, that care and friendship were treasured, and that life's gentle rhythm persisted with patience, serenity, and reassurance. Moonlight shimmered across the dew-specked forest, glinting off puddles, leaves, and moss alike. Pikachu's tail flicked faintly in response, and his eyes grew heavier with each passing moment. The delicate symphony of light, shadow, sound, and scent merged into a perfect lullaby, guiding him with infinite gentleness toward dreams filled with warmth, serenity, and quiet anticipation for tomorrow's adventures. The forest seemed to hum with life, though it was a life measured in whispers and soft movements. Leaves trembled gently in the breeze, branches shimmered under moonlight, and tiny droplets of dew sparkled like countless stars scattered across the woodland floor. Pikachu lay nestled beside Ash, tail tucked closely, ears relaxed, and eyes half-lidded in contentment. The subtle symphony of the nocturnal world, rustling leaves, distant streams, and the faint calls of night Pokémon merged seamlessly with the comforting warmth of the tent. Memories of the day flowed gently through his mind, like a quiet stream reflecting silver moonlight. He recalled Squirtle's gleeful splashes in the river, Bulbasaur's careful, deliberate steps over mossy ground, and Togepi's tiny squeaks of delight. Even the smallest stumble, slips over slippery moss, or hesitant jumps had transformed into luminous lessons of patience, encouragement, and trust. Each moment, however small, shimmered softly in his mind, creating a mosaic of calm and quiet joy. Inside the tent, the lantern flickered, elongating shadows that danced slowly across the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined these shadows as performers in a delicate ballet, each movement representing a playful leap, a gentle nudge, or a tiny hop across mossy terrain. The shadows retold the story of the day, narrating moments of friendship, care, and subtle triumphs. In this quiet space, light and memory intertwined to create a sanctuary where the world outside and the world within merged harmoniously. The air carried the earthy scent of damp moss and the faint sweetness of berries. Each inhalation wrapped Pikachu in the warmth of memories, forming an invisible quilt of safety and tranquility. The sounds, scents, and gentle flickers of light worked together to lull him deeper into calm. His mind floated effortlessly through recollections of playful adventures and gentle guidance, merging past joys with the present serenity of the night. He reflected on guiding Togepi across puddles and uneven, mossy terrain. Every step had required patience and attentiveness, and every squeak of delight had been a soft reward. These recollections, glowing softly in the moonlit forest, now formed tiny constellations of achievement and companionship. Even minor mistakes from the day glimmered like soft stars, each carrying a quiet lesson, a testament to patience and the beauty of care. Outside, the forest glimmered beneath the silver light. Dewdrops on leaves mirrored stars above, and Pikachu imagined each one as a fragment of the day's small victories, gentle encouragement, playful squeaks, and shared warmth. Each reflection resonated softly, contributing to the lullaby that seemed to pulse through the forest itself. The gentle rhythm of night, vast yet intimate, enveloped him completely. The lantern's shadows shifted slowly, breathing in harmony with the rhythm of the forest. Pikachu imagined these shadows performing a delicate dance, retelling the narrative of the day's events. Small triumphs, playful encounters, patient guidance, and quiet joy. The tent transformed into a stage, the shadows performers, and the forest outside a silent, reverent audience. Even the softest forest whispers a breeze through the trees. The distant trickle of water, a faint nocturnal call, carried messages of calm reassurance. Pikachu felt that the world itself was quietly reminding him that adventure would return, that gentle care was always meaningful, and that life's rhythm was constant, soothing, and enduring. Moonlight glimmered across the dew-specked forest floor, casting silvery light on leaves, puddles, and moss. Pikachu's tail flicked once more, his eyes growing heavier with each passing heartbeat. Every sensory note, light, shadow, sound, and scent, combined to form a lullaby of perfect tranquility, guiding him closer to the gentle embrace of dreams. The night, the forest, and the lingering warmth of friends merged seamlessly, carrying him toward deep, restorative rest. The night deepened further, and the forest's gentle symphony continued to cradle Pikachu in a cocoon of serenity. Moonlight filtered through the treetops in silver threads, creating a patchwork of glowing patterns on the forest floor. Pikachu lay nestled beside Ash, tail wrapped securely around himself, eyes half closed, ears relaxed, and body at ease. Every sound, the soft rustling of leaves, the distant trickle of the stream, the faint periodic calls of nocturnal Pokémon, became part of a harmonious lullaby. Memories of the day mingled softly with the quiet rhythm of the night. Squirtle's gleeful splashes in the shallow river, Bulbasaur's careful, deliberate steps over moss-covered rocks, and Togepi's tiny squeaks of curiosity echoed gently in his mind. Even minor slips and hesitations now glimmered like delicate sparks of learning and growth, each a reminder of patience, gentle guidance, and the joy of companionship. The forest seemed to cradle these reflections, wrapping them in the calm, silver glow of moonlight. Inside the tent, the lantern flickered gently, sending shadows dancing across the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined these shadows as storytellers, performing a silent ballet of the day's adventures. A flicker might represent a playful leap into a puddle, a careful nudge to guide Togepi, or a quiet moment of shared laughter. Each shadow moved with purpose, narrating tales of trust, care, and gentle joy, and the tent became a sanctuary where light, memory, and tranquility intertwined. The air was rich with the scent of damp earth and faint sweetness of berries, carrying traces of the day's adventures. Every inhalation seemed to weave the lingering warmth of friendship into the very fibers of Pikachu's being. The gentle whisper of leaves, the rhythmic babble of the stream, and the subtle flicker of the lantern combined to form an invisible lullaby, wrapping him in a cocoon of soft, soothing calm. He reflected on guiding Togepi through the slippery patches of moss and shallow puddles. Each careful step, each successful maneuver, each squeak of delight contributed to a growing constellation of memories, bright and warm under the moonlight. Even the day's small missteps now sparkled as gentle reminders that patience, care, and companionship were rewards in themselves. Outside, the forest shimmered under the moon's gentle gaze. Dew-covered leaves mirrored distant stars, and Pikachu imagined each glimmer as a fragment of the day, moments of joy, gentle encouragement, and shared warmth. These tiny reflections became part of a soft, nocturnal lullaby resonating with the quiet pulse of the forest. The gentle rhythm of night, both vast and intimate, enfolded him in complete serenity. The lantern's shadows shifted slowly, breathing in perfect sync with the rhythm of the night. Pikachu envisioned these shadows performing a delicate dance, recounting the day's subtle victories, playful moments, and tender guidance. The tent transformed into a stage, shadows into performers, and the surrounding forest into a silent, reverent audience, fully immersed in the story of the day. Even the faintest forest whispers a soft breeze through leaves. The trickle of distant water, a subtle nocturnal call, carried gentle reassurances. Pikachu sensed that the night itself was conveying messages of calm. Adventure would return, acts of care were meaningful, and the world's gentle rhythm would persist, steady and soothing. Moonlight shimmered across the dew-specked forest floor, illuminating leaves, puddles, and moss with soft silver hues. Pikachu's tail flicked gently, his eyelids growing heavier with each passing breath. Every sensory detail, light, shadow, sound, scent, merged into a perfect lullaby, guiding him ever closer to the tender embrace of dreams. The night, the forest, and the warmth of friendship intertwined seamlessly, carrying him into deep, restorative slumber where dreams glimmered softly, full of calm, joy, and quiet promise. The night had settled into a perfect rhythm, quiet yet alive, soft yet filled with subtle life. The forest exhaled gently under the moon's silver gaze, each leaf blade of grass, and dewdrops shimmering with calm energy. Pikachu lay curled up beside Ash, tail tucked snugly, ears relaxed, and eyes half closed, drifting effortlessly between the world of memory and the soothing embrace of the present. Every whisper of wind, every distant trickle of water, and every faint nocturnal call formed part of a gentle, infinite lullaby that seemed composed just for him. His mind wandered softly through the day's adventures, replaying them like a delicate slideshow. Squirtle had leapt joyfully into the sparkling river, droplets flying like miniature stars. Bulbasaur had moved with careful precision across mossy patches, while Togepi's tiny squeaks had punctuated every moment with joy and curiosity. Even the minor missteps, a hesitant hop, a slip on moss, a slight stumble now glowed gently in his memory as tender lessons, subtle markers of care, patience, and shared connection. Inside the tent, the lantern flickered, casting slow-moving shadows across the canvas walls. Pikachu imagined the shadows as performers, gracefully dancing the story of the day. Playful leaps, careful guidance, soft nudges, and quiet laughter. Each flicker told a story of trust, friendship, and gentle triumphs, transforming the tent into a sacred space where memories and the night's serenity intertwined seamlessly. The air was infused with the earthy scent of damp moss, tinged with the faint sweetness of berries. Every inhalation seemed to carry fragments of warmth and companionship, weaving a cocoon of comfort around Pikachu's body and mind. The forest's gentle whispers, rustling leaves, babbling streams, soft nocturnal calls harmonized perfectly with the lantern's flickering glow, forming a lullaby both tangible and ethereal, guiding him closer to the heart of restful sleep. Pikachu thought again of guiding Togepi through the puddles and moss. Each step, each squeak of delight, each minor stumble that led to laughter and encouragement, now shimmered in his mind as glowing constellations of accomplishment and care. Even the smallest action seemed imbued with meaning, proving that patience, attention, and gentle guidance could ripple outward, creating warmth and trust that lingered long after the moment had passed. Outside, the forest sparkled beneath the silver moonlight. Dew-laden leaves reflected faint glimmers of light, resembling scattered stars on the forest floor. Pikachu imagined each sparkling droplet as a fragment of the day, a joyful splash, a careful step, a squeak of delight, each contributing to the night's soft, continuous lullaby. The rhythm of the forest, both vast and intimate, wrapped him in serenity, a living blanket of gentle calm. The lantern's shadows continued their slow dance, moving in harmony with the forest's rhythm. Pikachu envisioned them as storytellers, retelling each gentle triumph, playful moment, and tender act of care from the day. The tent became a stage, the shadows performers, and the forest outside a silent, reverent audience, immersed in the peaceful narrative of friendship and comfort. Even the faintest sounds, a breeze through leaves, the distant murmur of a stream, a nocturnal call carried reassurance. Pikachu felt the forest itself whispering that adventure would return, that care and friendship were meaningful, and that life's gentle rhythm persisted, constant and soothing. Moonlight glimmered across every leaf, puddle, and blade of grass, illuminating the forest in silver serenity. Pikachu's tail twitched once more as his eyelids grew heavier, and the world around him merged seamlessly with the warmth inside the tent. Every note, light, shadow, sound, and scent fused into a perfect lullaby, guiding him into deep, restorative sleep. Dreams shimmered like starlight on the stream, full of calm, joy, and the quiet promise of tomorrow's adventures. Wrapped in warmth, surrounded by friendship, and embraced by the tranquil forest, Pikachu finally surrendered fully to the gentle pull of sleep. Every heartbeat, every whisper, every glimmering memory blended into the night's lullaby, carrying him into the most serene dreams, where peace, love, and wonder awaited until morning's first light. The forest night had softened into a tender hush, the world wrapped in a quiet, shimmering calm. The moonlight spilled gently across the leaves, tracing silver patterns on the forest floor, while the stream murmured its soft lullaby nearby. Pikachu lay nestled beside Ash, tail tucked snugly, ears relaxed, and eyes heavy with the comforting weight of a day well lived. Every breath, every rustle, every faint nocturnal sound became part of a symphony of gentle reassurance, urging him toward the warmth of sleep. The scent of the forest, damp moss, soft earth, and a hint of sweet berries filled the air like an invisible hug. Each inhale carried tranquility, wrapping Pikachu in the lingering comfort of memories and companionship. He thought of the day's adventures, playful splashes in the stream, careful guidance across mossy terrain, tiny squeaks of delight from Togepi, and quiet moments of laughter. Each memory glimmered softly, like fireflies hovering in the night, forming a luminous tapestry of calm and joy that surrounded him completely. Lantern shadows flickered across the tent walls, slow and gentle, like dancers performing a delicate farewell to the night. Each movement seemed to whisper softly, "Rest now. All is safe. Tomorrow will come with light, but for now, sleep in peace." Pikachu's gaze softened as he watched the subtle play of light, imagining the shadows as tiny storytellers retelling the day's gentle adventures. Every flicker, every sway of the lantern became part of the lullaby of night, harmonizing perfectly with the forest outside. The moon hung low, casting a silver glow that danced across leaves and puddles. Dew shimmered like tiny stars scattered across the forest floor, and Pikachu's eyes followed each glint with fascination, though his body grew heavier with every breath. The forest itself seemed to breathe in unison with him, a living lullaby composed of gentle rustles, distant nocturnal calls, and the steady pulse of the stream. Every sound was soft, every movement slow, as if the world itself was guiding him toward deep, restorative sleep. He remembered guiding Togepi carefully through puddles and mossy paths, each small step a lesson in patience, care, and trust. The joy in Togepi's squeaks, the soft laughter of friends, and even the smallest stumbles now seemed luminous in the gentle moonlight. Each memory formed a constellation of comfort and contentment, twinkling softly in his mind, reassuring him that the day's adventures had been meaningful, shared, and kind. The warmth of Ash beside him, the gentle lantern glow, and the silvered forest all combined into a cocoon of perfect serenity. Pikachu's tail twitched lazily as he stretched slightly, settling back into the soft moss of the tent's floor. The forest hummed softly, a quiet chorus of leaves, distant streams, and tiny nocturnal whispers. Every note, every motion, every glimmer of light wove together into a lullaby uniquely meant for him, carrying him toward the tender embrace of sleep. Moonlight shimmered on the stream nearby, painting it like liquid silver. Dew-laden leaves reflected faint, sparkling points of light, each one glimmering as if in gentle applause for the peaceful night. Pikachu's ears twitched at the soft rustle of a pidgey in the trees, the tiny call of a distant caterpie, and the soothing hum of the nocturnal world. The forest, alive yet gentle, seemed to breathe with him, guiding him closer to the final drift into dreams. Even the faintest whispers, a breeze through the trees, a trickle of water, a distant nocturnal call, were imbued with reassurance. Pikachu felt the night itself cradle him, whispering, "All is well. You are safe. Sleep now and let tomorrow wait a while." His eyes grew heavier with each passing heartbeat, the world blending seamlessly with the warmth of the tent and the quiet of friendship. Pikachu exhaled softly, curling further into the safety of his resting place. Every shadow, every sound, every glowing memory of the day fused into a gentle lullaby. His tail wrapped around him more tightly, and his eyelids finally closed, surrendering fully to the comforting embrace of night. The forest, the friends, and the memories all held him in perfect balance, each one a note in the softest, sweetest melody of rest. Outside the tent, the night deepened further, but it did not grow frightening. Instead, it softened into something even more comforting, as though the forest itself had hushed to watch over Pikachu and his friends. A gentle breeze whispered through the branches, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers and distant pine, while tiny droplets of dew clung to blades of grass, sparkling like jewels in the moonlight. The stars above shone brightly, an endless field of quiet guardians, their light filtering down through the canopy in soft beams. Inside, Pikachu stirred slightly, his ears twitching at the muffled sound of the stream nearby. It wasn't the restless stir of unease, it was the instinctive awareness of a creature so attuned to its surroundings. One last check to make sure everything was right in his little world before he gave himself fully to sleep. And everything was right. Ash's breathing was steady and calm. Togepi's tiny squeaks had faded into soft sighs of dreaming, and even Misty and Brock seemed cocooned in the gentlest of slumbers. Satisfied, Pikachu let out a quiet Pika, no louder than a whisper, as if saying goodnight to the world itself. His body curled tighter into the soft bedding of moss and fabric, his fur catching faint glimmers of lantern light before dimming as the flame inside began to fade. The shadows on the tent walls grew longer and slower, their movements like the final pages of a bedtime story closing for the night. The rhythm of the stream outside seemed to sync perfectly with Pikachu's breathing, a soothing back and forth like a cradle, rocking gently into the dark. Every small detail, the heartbeat-like pulse of the water, the faint hum of insects beyond the tent, the steady warmth of ash nearby, layered together into the most natural lullaby imaginable. As the lantern light weakened, the tent grew softer, darker, wrapped in shades of silver and blue. The faintest glimmers of starlight peeked through the seams, sprinkling little dots of brightness across Pikachu's resting form. He shifted once more, his cheek pressing against Ash's side, his tiny paws curling beneath him. The comfort of that familiar presence reassured him, reminding him of every journey, every laugh, every shared victory and quiet moment that had led them to this peaceful night. The forest outside carried on in its gentle rhythm. A hoot-hoot called once from the trees before falling silent again. its voice blending into the night's melody. The wind rustled through the leaves above, soft and slow, like a mother's hand smoothing a child's hair. And the stars, countless, endless, kept their quiet watch, glimmering faintly as though nodding in approval at the little Pokémon who was finally surrendering to rest. Within the comfort of that moment, Pikachu drifted. His mind floated between wakefulness and dreaming, lingering briefly on the warm highlights of the day. He imagined splashes of water glowing in the sunset, Togepi's wide-eyed wonder at fireflies, and the laughter that carried them through the winding paths of the forest. These weren't just memories, they were stepping stones leading him gently into the dream world, each one soft, glowing, and full of warmth. The final glow of the lantern flickered, dimmed, and went out completely, leaving only the silver touch of the moon and stars. Darkness filled the tent, but it wasn't empty darkness. It was full of protection, stillness, and quiet promise. The forest outside exhaled as though sealing the night's peace. Pikachu's breath slowed, steady now, his chest rising and falling in perfect rhythm with the song of the night. And in that moment, surrounded by friends, held by the forest, and lulled by the endless song of the world, Pikachu slipped fully into sleep. The night wrapped around him, gentle and infinite, carrying him safely into dreams where adventures would glow again, but for now, only stillness remained. In the soft hush of that peaceful night, Pikachu's mind slipped seamlessly from the gentle rhythm of the forest into the even softer rhythm of dreams. It wasn't a sharp shift, no sudden jump or jolt. It was like wading deeper into a calm river, the world of waking fading behind while the current of imagination carried him somewhere lighter, somewhere glowing. The first thing he noticed in his dream was the light. It wasn't the flickering of a lantern or the shimmer of moonlight, but a golden glow that felt alive, wrapping around him the way Ash's blanket had earlier. Pikachu blinked, his little ears twitching as he looked around. The forest was still there, but changed, transformed. The trees were taller, their leaves shimmering like glass, catching and bending the golden light until it danced in every direction. The ground beneath him was soft and springy, covered in a carpet of moss that pulsed gently, almost as though it was breathing with him. Then came the fireflies, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, but they didn't glow in the pale yellows of the real world. They shimmered in colors Pikachu had never seen before. Blues that felt like cool water trickling down his fur, pinks that hummed like laughter, greens that reminded him of grass under a summer sun. They swirled around him in playful patterns, forming loops, spirals, and tiny bursts of starlight. Pikachu whispered softly, his voice echoing in the dream like a curious note. The fireflies seemed to respond, shifting and twirling into light. One brave little light drifted down and landed right on Pikachu's nose, pulsing warmly before taking off again with a playful dash. Pikachu giggled a small, contented sound that carried no weight of battle or worry, just joy. And then in the distance, Pikachu saw familiar shapes. Ash was there, standing at the edge of the glowing trees, smiling softly, his figure outlined in warm light. Misty and Brock were beside him, waving gently, their faces calm, their presence steady. Togepi waddled forward on stubby legs, his little arms reaching up toward Pikachu, and the sight filled him with an even deeper comfort. But unlike the waking world, this dream place wasn't about rushing forward or training or traveling to the next town. Here, everything slowed. Ash knelt down, reaching out, and Pikachu bounded happily into his arms. The embrace was warm, familiar, endlessly safe. Ash didn't say anything he didn't need to. The dream carried his voice without words, whispering reassurance. I'm here. You're safe. Rest now. The world around them pulsed with this rhythm, the glowing fireflies forming a soft cocoon of light. The leaves above rustled, though there was no wind, and the ground beneath gave off a faint, soothing hum. It was the dream equivalent of a lullaby, built not of sound, but of feeling. Every element of the place seemed carefully designed by Pikachu's own heart, echoing back the love and safety he felt being part of this little family. As Pikachu settled into Ash's arms in this dreamscape, he felt his eyelids grow heavy even within the dream. The fireflies slowed their dance, circling lazily instead of darting quickly. The glow of the trees dimmed, shifting to softer shades of gold and violet. It was as though the dream itself was tucking him deeper, encouraging him not just to sleep but to rest completely, and Pikachu allowed it. His small body melted into Ash's warmth, his tail curling gently, his cheeks sparking faintly with tiny crackles of static that faded into nothing. Around him, the fireflies pulsed in time with his breath, slow and steady, like the heartbeat of the dream itself. The last thing Pikachu saw before drifting even further into the depths of slumber was Togepi climbing into Misty's arms, yawning wide and curling up. The sight made him smile even in sleep. A final soft Pika left his lips as the world dissolved into the most comforting darkness imaginable, the kind that holds you, rocks you, and promises good night. The dream shifted again, not abruptly, but like the slow turning of a page in a storybook. Pikachu found himself no longer in Ash's arms, but standing on a wide meadow bathed in starlight. The sky stretched endlessly above him, a velvety canvas, sprinkled with a million glittering stars. But these weren't distant points of light, they felt close. So close, Pikachu thought he might hop and touch one. The grass beneath his paws swayed, though no wind blew, humming faintly in harmony with the sky. Pikachu tilted his head, ears perked, and realized the stars weren't silent. They sang. Not words, but a soft, melodic hum that wrapped around him like the warmth of a blanket. Each star pulsed in time with the notes, and the whole sky seemed alive, singing him into a deeper peace. Curious, Pikachu scampered forward through the meadow, sparks flickering harmlessly on his cheeks. As he ran, the stars above responded, drifting slowly downward. One by one, they floated toward him, transforming as they descended. Instead of burning spheres, each star took the shape of a familiar Pokémon friend team. Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander appeared, their glowing forms shimmering like constellations brought to life. They didn't speak, but their eyes shone with kindness, and Pikachu bounded toward them with a delighted Pika-Pie! The dream friends laughed, or perhaps it was the stars humming, and they began to play. Charmander chased its own tail of flame light, Squirtle slid across the glowing grass as though it were water, and Bulbasaur hopped gently, tiny star flowers sprouting with every step. Pikachu joined them, darting through the meadow, his laughter echoing. It wasn't the laughter of the daytime world, it was softer, like bells chiming in a dream, fading almost as soon as it was heard, but leaving warmth behind. Together they danced under the endless night sky, weaving patterns in the grass that glowed faintly in their wake. Circles, spirals, zigzags like doodles left on the canvas of the dream. The stars above twinkled brighter, approving, and the hum of the sky's lullaby deepened. Eventually the play slowed. Pikachu sat in the meadow, panting softly, his little chest rising and falling with contentment. The star friends gathered close, their glow dimming just a little, like a lantern being turned low. Pikachu leaned against Bulbasaur's side, his tail curling lazily as Charmander's warm light flickered near. Squirtle splashed gently in a pool of starlight that hadn't been there before, sending ripples of light outward like a heartbeat. Pikachu's eyelids drooped within the dream, a dream inside a dream, and the lullaby grew softer still. The stars above seemed to bend closer, forming a protective dome around him. He could feel the warmth of Ash's presence again, not visible this time, but carried in the glow, in the hum, in the way the meadow seemed to breathe in sync with him. The fireflies from before returned, dotting the meadow like tiny lanterns drifting lazily. They circled once, twice, and then nestled into the grass around Pikachu, glowing faintly like nightlights placed lovingly by unseen hands. "Pika," he murmured, his voice no more than a sigh, his head lowered, his ears relaxed, and the meadow folded gently into stillness. The star friends leaned close, their outlines flickering before fading back into the sky, as though their purpose had been fulfilled. The lullaby continued, but quieter, softer, not to keep him awake, but to guide him deeper. Pikachu curled into the grass, the glow around him dimming into the gentlest of shadows. Everything slowed, the stars, the hum, the fireflies, until the dream held only silence and comfort. The kind of silence that doesn't feel empty but full, brimming with love and safety. And with that, Pikachu drifted further, his final spark of awareness fading as the dream whispered the same word over and over. Good night. The dream didn't end there. Instead, it deepened, wrapping Pikachu in yet another layer of comfort. This time, the meadow seemed to dissolve, and Pikachu found himself drifting upward as if gently carried on a current of warm night air. His paws dangled loosely, and his body felt lighter than ever. Above him, the stars parted, revealing a great silver moon, round, luminous, and smiling softly. The moon wasn't distant. It seemed close enough to touch, glowing with a motherly warmth. Pikachu blinked up at it, his eyes wide with wonder, then gave a quiet, happy squeak. The moonlight washed over him, surrounding him like a blanket freshly warmed by the sun, except calmer, cooler, and infinitely soothing. From the edge of the moon's glow came a familiar shape. It was a large, graceful figure with long flowing ears and a serene expression. Clefairy. Pikachu recognized the fairy Pokémon instantly, though it shimmered with the same starlight as the friends before. Clefairy floated down, twirling lightly as though dancing on air. Around it, more tiny Clefairy appeared, their little hands clasped, their bodies glowing. They began their famous dance, the Moonlight Dance. Moving in circles around Pikachu, they hopped and spun, their movements delicate yet purposeful. With each twirl, the moon above glowed brighter, sending gentle waves of silver light cascading over the dream. Pikachu's ears twitched with delight as the lullaby of the stars blended seamlessly with the rhythm of the Clefairy dance. The light didn't just shine, it touched. Every wave of moonlight seemed to stroke Pikachu's fur, smoothing it, calming him, filling him with the feeling of being safe. His cheeks flickered with sparks of electricity, not wild or sharp, but soft and golden, like tiny sparks of happiness he couldn't hold in. Clefairy twirled closer, its eyes twinkling knowingly, almost as though it were tucking Pikachu in with every step of its dance. The circle of fairy Pokémon spun faster, but never frantically. Their movements were fluid, hypnotic, like ripples on a still pond. Pikachu's body swayed gently, lulled by their rhythm until his head drooped again. The dreamscape responded. Stars leaned closer, humming in harmony with the Clefairy. The grass below reappeared, glowing faintly as though it were soaking up moonlight like dew. Fireflies joined the dance, spiraling upward before gently sinking back down to float near Pikachu's paws. The whole world seemed devoted to one task, helping him rest. As the dance came to a close, Clefairy leaned down and placed its tiny hands together, almost like a wish. A shimmer of dust-like starlight reigned over Pikachu, twinkling as it fell. Each speck carried the sensation of warmth and safety, the kind you feel when you know nothing can harm you. Pikachu blinked once, twice, and then let out the softest yawn, his voice barely more than a whisper in the dream. Pika. The circle of Clefairy faded gently, returning to the sky, their glow becoming stars once more. The moon gave one last pulse of silver light, as though bidding Pikachu good night, before drifting higher into the infinite velvet of the sky. Pikachu curled on the soft, glowing grass, tail wrapped around him, his breathing slow and steady. The lullaby softened again. No more dancing, no more twinkling, just a hush, as if even the stars were going to sleep. Pikachu lay still, his body glowing faintly in the moonlight's memory, and in that moment, he seemed less like a tiny Pokémon and more like a part of the dream itself. If the dream had words, it would have spoken the same promise it always carried for him. You are safe. You are loved. Good night. And with that, Pikachu drifted even deeper, his consciousness floating lower and lower until there was nothing left but peace. The dream's final chapter was the softest yet. Pikachu floated in the space between dreams and waking, curled into himself like a tiny ball of golden light. The lullaby that had followed him through meadows, rivers, stars, and moonlight was now just a faint hum, the kind you almost don't hear, but feel like the beat of a heart. In this stillness, the dream gave him one last gift. Ash appeared, not vividly, not with words or movement, but as a silhouette of comfort, the kind of presence Pikachu would know anywhere. Ash's hand stretched down through the haze of light, resting gently near Pikachu's back. There was no need for speech. The bond between them was deeper than words. Pikachu pressed into the image, sighing softly, his ears flicking once in contentment. Around him, the dream folded inward. The meadow's glow dimmed to embers. The river's hum softened into silence. The moon pulled itself back into the endless sky. One by one, each scene Pikachu had passed through the grassy field, the floating lanterns, the starlit meadow, the dancing Clefairy melted into the fabric of night, as though the dream itself was tucking them away for safekeeping. Pikachu yawned once more, the tiniest squeak leaving his mouth. His paws twitched faintly as if chasing after the memories of fireflies and moonlight. Then he stilled, his breath steady, his cheeks glowing with the faintest sparks. The world had gone utterly quiet now, but it wasn't empty. It was full of peace, warmth, and love. Finally, the dream whispered its last lullaby. Rest now. The night is yours. And with that, Pikachu's dream faded into true sleep, so deep and calm it seemed like time itself slowed down to watch. When morning came, it was gentle. The first rays of sunlight crept across the little camp, brushing softly against Pikachu's fur. He stirred only slightly, too comfortable to wake fully. Ash lay nearby, still fast asleep, the faint rise and fall of his chest in rhythm with Pikachu's. The fire had gone out, leaving behind only ashes that glowed faintly in the dawn light. Pikachu's ears twitched. He opened one eye, squinting at the soft glow of sunrise, and then nestled back into his blanket. The warmth of the dream still lingered, woven into his body like a second skin. His heart was calm, his body rested, and his spirit renewed. Ash rolled over with a sleepy murmur. Pikachu peeked at him, then gave a tiny, affectionate Pika, before closing his eyes again. There was no rush to rise. The morning could wait. For Pikachu, the night had been more than just rest. It had been a reminder that even in the quietest, darkest hours, he was surrounded by love, wonder, and safety. The meadow might not always glow, the fireflies might not always dance, and the stars might not always sing, but Pikachu knew the truth now. The magic of that night would always live inside him. He curled tighter, tail wrapped snugly, cheeks glowing just enough to show his happiness. And as Ash stretched awake with a yawn, Pikachu remained still, drifting somewhere between dream and waking, a smile lingering in his tiny heart. The new day had arrived, but the night's peace had not left him. And so, under the first light of dawn, Pikachu slept soundly, safely, and deeply carrying the dream of a perfect night with him forever. Good night, Pikachu.